Chapter 1041. The death of a person on the highway was naturally a big deal. The police and ambulances arrived in time. However, they quickly found out that the guy who had crossed the road was actually a Japanese citizen of Huaxia. He also had a secret identity. He was the secret lackey of that old dog in Pei. He was responsible for helping in Pei spread rumors and mislead people. Relying on the fact that he had learned some language from his physical education teacher in elementary school, he posted slanderous comments about the people and government of Huaxia on various major Huaxia websites. He thought that by doing so, he could disrupt the social order of Huaxia. When the police confirmed the identity of this person, they immediately handed him over to the Special Department for investigation. Because of the identity of this traitor's lackey, the Dragon Brigade also quickly stepped in and cracked an encrypted USB flash drive file that the lackey carried. It contained secret instructions to track down Kevin Matthews' whereabouts. Obviously, the Japanese had already intervened. This must have something to do with the United States. Although the Japanese were usually arrogant, they were still lackeys in front of the United States government. When the United States government asked them to do something, they would usually stand up and solve it immediately. This matter obviously had something to do with the United States. The CIA agents were not to be trifled with. Once they found out about Kevin Matthews' matter, the investigation was quite efficient. Although Kevin Matthew had been smuggled out of Canada with Su Yun, it was not impossible for them to track him down. Because of this sudden incident, Su Yun had been summoned to the Central Dragon Brigade by Wang Yi. When he heard the news, his first reaction was not to vent his anger over the death of Pei's lackey, but to worry about the Big Circle in Canada. After all, they had used the Big Circle's armed smuggling ship to smuggle them out. This matter could be found out by the CIA through investigation and evidence collection. If that was the case, the Big Circle might be in danger and trouble. Although the Big Circle was very united and had its own power base, if they were to go against the United States government, they probably still did not have the strength to do so. After all, the U.S. Special Forces were quite strong. If they really wanted to make a move against the Big Circle would be in trouble. The Gu family would probably be implicated as well. Oh no. Su Yun was worried that Kevin Matthews' smuggling into Huaxia with De Huan's munitions ship had been exposed, and that Gu Chia would be implicated. What do you think about this? That old dog Ampere actually used such a despicable trick to send such a lackey to Huaxia to investigate. We can't guard against it. Wang Yi shook his head helplessly. He didn't expect that after so many years, the traitors were still alive. Su Yun was quite open-minded about this. I'm afraid it's hard to find another traitor like him in Huaxia. Since God couldn't stand it anymore and arranged a car accident to turn this traitor into a meat patty, I believe there won't be another traitor like him in the world. Boss is right. This kind of traitor is really extinct this time. Qianfeng said. I think what we should be worried about is the Japanese sneaking into Beijing with tourists to help the U.S. government investigate Kevin Matthew. That's for sure. The U.S. government probably won't make a move personally at first. They'll use the Japanese. It'd be a waste not to use such a lackey, Han Zhan said. Moreover, there's internal strife in Japan now. Many people are against the Ampere government and want Ampere to step down. Ampere needs the support of the U.S., so they'll definitely listen to the U.S. If the Ampere government can help the U.S. find Kevin Matthew, the U.S. will definitely help them quell the internal strife in Japan. Su Yun nodded. That's easy. As long as we ensure the safety of Kevin Matthews' location, there's no need to worry. As long as the Japanese agents dare to sneak in, we'll kill them as soon as we find them. As for this kind of Japanese lackey, I'm afraid we don't even need to do anything. God will just arrange for him to be struck by lightning and have a car accident or something like that. That's right. God thinks that we'll dirty our hands by attacking that kind of scum. That's why he arranged for a car accident to kill him. Hua Xiaolu said angrily. There's no lack of rich second-generation heirs in Beijing. There are many luxury cars that can drive more than 60 miles per hour. It's easy to kill a lackey. Why isn't it a dump truck? Just crush this lackey into meat paste. Gong Jiuxia was furious because this Japanese lackey who had been killed had actually given himself the name Blood Death Berserk Dragon. Gong Jiuxiao's nickname in the Divine Dragon Squad was Berserk Dragon. Of course, he was disgusted that this lackey had insulted his Berserk Dragon title. No matter how useless Gong Jiuxiao was, he still knew how to contribute to the country. He also knew how to protect the motherland and prevent the Japanese from causing trouble and hurting the people of Huaxia. As for that guy who defended the Japanese and belittled Huaxia, what right did he have to be called Mad Dragon? He should really change his name to Blood Cheap Lackey. Jiuxiao, don't be angry. Although he wore the same nickname as you, he also proved that shameless people can't bear this nickname. Hua Leitang said, "That bastard is already dead. Don't bother with him." Gong Jiuxiao nodded. "If he wasn't killed by a car and fell into my hands, I guarantee that he would be in a worse state than being killed by a car. This is considered letting him off easy. Alright, let's get down to business. Now, everyone is aware of our current situation." Wang Yi said, "So, at this moment, as the sharp blade of the country, as the shield to protect the capital, we can't do anything if we stay at home. I need to select people from each brigade to carry out the mission of protecting the capital. Those whose names I call out will step out to accept the mission, while those whose names I don't call out will be on standby and be ready to fight at any time." The people chosen by Wang Yi would all leave the Dragon Brigade in plain clothes. During this special period, they would appear in any corner of Beijing to ensure that no Japanese ninja agents or lackeys would sneak in. Once their identities were confirmed, they would be killed without mercy. At this time, any Japanese ninja agent who entered Huaxia would be considered a disguised invasion, and any lackey would deserve to die. If they were allowed to live, they would only embarrass their ancestors. It would be better for them to die and end all troubles. For the lackeys, it would be a relief. Dragon Fury Team, Shadow Dragon Hua Leitang, Azure Dragon Qianfeng, Yinlong Fan Shuang, Black Dragon Han Zhan, Ice Dragon Gong Sun Lung, Violent Dragon Hua Xiaolu, Horn Dragon Chu Shi, Qilin Bai Songguang, Dragon Jiu Xiao Gong, Wind Dragon Tang Zhao, Dragon Ma Tung Fei, Hidden Dragon Yuan Jiang. Wang Yi began to announce the names one by one. Dragon Battle Special Forces, Flying Dragon Yuan Qing Di, Azure Dragon Xingxia, Fire Dragon Fu Bang, Soaring Dragon Guan Liang. After announcing the names of all the people who were selected to carry out the undercover investigation mission, Wang Yi coughed lightly and drank a glass of water to moisten his throat. He continued, "This time the overall commander of all of you who are going out is Yan Long and Su Yun. He has the highest authority, and his orders are your highest orders." After saying that, Wang Yi said to Su Yun, "You have your authority. You know how to use it. I'll leave this matter to you." "Don't worry, master." Su Yun made a military order. "I will definitely not let any Japanese behave atrociously in Huaxia. If one comes, we will kill one. If 100 comes, we will kill 100. If 1,000 comes, we will kill 1,000. As long as they dare to act recklessly, we will definitely not be merciful. We will not let any Japanese go, nor will we let any Japanese lackey go." Under Su Yun's lead, everyone made a military order. They would definitely not allow the Japanese to behave atrociously in Huaxia. Chapter 1042. Baka. Pei slapped the trusted aide standing in front of him to the ground. He had been tortured during this period of time. The whole world despised the actions of the Japanese government that he led. He had no place to vent the anger in his heart, so he could only vent it on his trusted aide. Other than his trusted aide, there was probably no one else who could behave atrociously for him. The confidant who had been slapped to the ground by Pei had no choice. The kid they had arranged, who called himself Bloodshang Quanglong, was so unlucky. He had been killed by a car as soon as he arrived in China. He had no choice, but the truth was the truth. He had just conveyed the truth, and he had been slapped for no reason. This was too unfair. But who asked his master to be a brain-dead pervert? He could only endure it. Pei angrily pointed at the trusted aide who was slapped to the ground by him and said, "Get Koyama Jiro and Tojo Tuahara here immediately." Immediately. Yes. The trusted aide who was slapped could only scramble out of Pei's office. Pei angrily slammed the table. It seemed that even this could not alleviate the hatred in his heart. Deputy Prime Minister Taro Asu was also in his office. Taro Asu was much calmer. He smiled and said to Enpei, "Prime Minister, it has already happened. It's useless to be angry. It's just a lackey's death. It's not a big deal. The lives of Huaxia lackeys are cheap. They even abandoned their own country. Do you really expect them to be loyal to us? It's better for such a dog to die. What do you know? This is not a problem of a lackey dying. Although that kid is cheap, he can fabricate some history on the internet to help us slander Huaxia. Once an ignorant Huaxia is brainwashed, they will become brainless like him. They will speak up for us Japanese and gain international support for us Japanese." Enpei said, "Now that he's dead, where can I find another Huaxia person who can slander his own country and defend us Japanese? This is a serious loss for us. You have to know that with one more shameless Huaxia, our Japanese will have an advantage in public opinion." Aso shrugged his shoulders and smiled indifferently. It would be even better for him if Abe-san didn't get any support. He could use this opportunity to go up on stage himself. Of course, Abe's third brother knew what Asu Dalong was thinking. "Asu, you're not in my position, so you don't know the importance of public opinion. Now even the Koreans are talking about our lone bamboo island, making a ruckus every day. I don't even remember that we hosted the World Cup together. Baka. Arguments are inevitable." Asu Dalong said, "Prime Minister, please don't hurt yourself because of these trivial matters. No matter how big the matter is, it will pass eventually." "Yes, it will pass. As long as the United States helps us, everything will pass. But now they weren't helping. Huaxia is getting stronger and stronger. Even the United States doesn't dare to provoke them. We have to change history and destroy the image of Huaxia," Abe's third brother said angrily. "Now we need the support of the United States to dare to stand up and talk nonsense. But if we want the support of the United States, we have to do what the United States wants us to do. The Americans want that Kevin Matthew, but that Kevin Matthew is probably in Huaxia, in Yanjing. We have to find out the exact information. Otherwise, how can we get the Americans to trust us? But there's no point in you inviting Koyama Jiro and Tojo Toihara over, right?" Asu Dalong said. Abe's third brother glared and cursed in his heart. "How is it meaningless? It's very meaningful. If the two of them help me settle this matter, my position as Prime Minister will be stable, and you'll have no chance. If I'm not stable, you'll have a great chance. Grandson, don't think that I don't know what you're doing." "Of course it's meaningful," Abe's third brother said. "If they arrange for their best jounin to go to Huaxia to settle this matter for me, I'll reward them. Ija Ryu and Kaga-ryu have always been at odds. Now that you're asking them to cooperate, I'm afraid this matter is a little." Asu Dalong seemed to be keen on pouring cold water on Abe's third brother. Abe's third brother sneered this time. "That's exactly what I want. I'll tell them directly that whoever can help me settle this matter. I'll say that their sect is the most authentic and powerful ninjutsu sect. Let's see who can outplay who. The two sects will definitely help me go to Yanjing to catch that kid Kevin Matthew. As long as that kid Kevin Matthew is in their hands, then everything will be fine. The Americans will definitely help me solve the internal strife and put in a good word for me on Turtle Island and Dotake Island. What about the South Thousand Islands? Will the Americans fall out with the Russians for us?" Asu Dalong asked again. Once again, Abe's third brother poured cold water on him. "Can we not talk about this matter anymore? We don't dare to provoke the Russians, but sooner or later, when I develop military theory, I'll definitely teach them a lesson. How dare they occupy the 4 northern islands? I'll get them back sooner or later. But I'm afraid the Americans won't speak up for us." Asu Dalong shook his head. "Asu, what do you mean? Why are you always saying this nonsense?" Abe's third brother was a little angry. "I can make you my deputy prime minister, because I think highly of you. I can make you step down at any time. Prime Minister, good advice is unpleasant to the ear. This is an old saying from Huaxia, and it makes sense." Asu said, "I'm saying this for your own good. Since you don't want to hear it, then I won't say it. In a while, Gushinjiro and Tojo Toihara will be here. I won't disturb you from assigning tasks." Abe nodded. "Then go. and do what I asked you to do. At present, my cabinet's tricks to gain popularity have been seen through by more and more people, and the decline of my support rate will become an unchangeable norm. There was actually a media person who told reporters that not only did my cabinet not thoroughly reflect on the history of aggression to improve relations with Hwasya, South Korea, and other countries, but also used various political deceit to artificially aggravate tensions with neighboring countries. Such a policy will only make Dongying more isolated, and it will do Dongying no good. You must find that media person for me. Punish him severely. Let him die. I want all the media people to know that the outcome of opposing me is death. Asu Dalong liked to do such things. Anyway, when something happened, he would push the blame to an Abe. In the end, the pressure of public opinion would be on an Abe. The more unreliable an Abe was, the more Asu Dalong liked it. Because the more he did this, the sooner an Abe would step down. Prime Minister, don't worry, I will definitely do this for you. Asu Dalong said. You can arrange your matters. I'll go back first. An Abe looked at Asu Dalong's departing figure and sneered. He thought to himself, do you think I won't be on guard against you? I asked you to arrange this matter, so I will leave evidence of you doing it. Once the public opinion is on me, I still have you as my scapegoat. I won't be affected. Chapter 1043. After seeing Enpei, Jiro Furuyama immediately realized the Prime Minister's distress. Prime Minister, is there anything I can help you with? Just tell me, as long as Ija Ryu can do it. I will do my best without any hesitation. Jiro Furuyama, I know you are a loyal person. This time I am really in trouble, and I really need Ija Ryu to help me solve this problem. Enpei sighed. If it wasn't for the fact that I was forced into a corner, I wouldn't have bothered you guys. After all, I really don't have anyone I can use. What about the Kurizuka Special Forces? Jiro Furuyama was a little puzzled. Normally, if Enpei had something difficult to deal with, he would ask the Kurizuka Special Forces to do it. This was the first time Enpei had asked his ninjas, which really surprised Jiro Furuyama. Enpei wanted to slap his own face. Kurizuka Special Forces. Alas, from now on, there will be no more Kurizuka Special Forces in the world. They have completely disappeared. Even Muto Ichiro was nowhere to be found. Even if he was dead, no one could find his corpse. Now the people are beginning to suspect me again. I need your help, really. Prime Minister, since I am here to help you share the burden. If there is anything you need, just say it. Jiro Furuyama nodded. At this time, another guy walked in. He was also not tall, and could even be described as skinny. This was the number 1 ninja of the Koga Ryu, Tojo Tuahara. He was as famous as Ija Ryu Furuyama Jiro. Although his name was Tokuhara, he was not fat at all. Prime Minister. After Tokuhara greeted him, he didn't say anything, because he saw Ija Ryu Jiro Furuyama. However, when Furuyama saw Tokuhara, his face was no longer as relaxed as before. There was a trace of displeasure and disgust. During the Heian period, due to the rise of the samurai class, the art of ambush in the mountains was developed by the samurai. During the Genpei period, Minamoto no Yashitsugu, who learned how to ambush in the mountains, successfully used the ambush technique in the mountains to complete the theory of offensive tactics. In the era of the northern and southern dynasties, Nanmu Masanari developed the art of defense. At the same time, ninjutsu and martial arts were separated into different systems. During the Warring States period, ninjutsu began to make great progress. This was because ninjutsu, martial arts, and the art of war were very important in this era. But unlike the art of war and martial arts, ninjutsu has its own uniqueness. In areas where ninjutsu was developed, there were several schools of ninjutsu, which were named after the following names: Musashi Kage Ekigo, Shinano Iga, Koga Ji, etc. Originally, before the Yamato people went on an expedition to the east, Iga and Koga were not separated. Later, because of the Shirji period and the Warring States period, the names of the names were separated in these 200 years, so the schools slowly separated. However, although the schools are separated, the classic of ninja practice is the same book. This book is called 10,000 Rivers to the Sea, which teaches ninja how to perform all the theoretical basis and skills of ninjutsu. The rise of Iga Ryu was because they were very close to Kyoto and Nagoya, and they were located in a small closed basin surrounded by mountains and obstacles, forming a small world of its own. However, its strategic position was very important. Because it was close to the central area of Japan, it was deeply influenced by the culture of Kyoto. There were many shrines, temples, and manors. Later, when the manor system collapsed, the local tyrants rose one by one. In the Warring States period, there were 60 local tyrants in such a small land, but because the land was very small, everyone wanted to seize each other's land. So each family would probably raise dozens of soldiers to deal with the enemy country. The competition here was fierce beyond the imagination of outsiders. The local tyrants formed alliances with each other, investigated each other's enemy, and also slaughtered each other. Once the local tyrant was defeated, it was difficult to climb up again. It's no wonder that such a place with mountains and fierce battles would become the base for the development of ninjutsu. For a long time, a balance slowly developed between the local tyrants, and then ninjutsu began to be the best in the country. The so-called Koga Ryu was the strongest ninjutsu with Iga for generations. In the early days, they served the warlords near Kyoto, and later they submitted to the world overlord Oda Nobunaga. During the most glorious decade of Nobunaga's career, the Koga Ryu developed rapidly, and took advantage of the massacre of Iga to dominate the ninja world. However, this trend stopped when Nobunaga was murdered by his subordinates in Kyoto, and the Oda family was torn apart. But with the accumulation of these 10 years, Koga Ryu was still able to compete with Iga in the era of Tokugawa shogunate in Japan. Therefore, Iga Ryu and Koga Ryu were competing to a certain extent, and there was some feeling of Yushunliang. Therefore, it was obvious that Gushinjiro and Tojo Tokuhara were not happy with each other. Obviously, Enpei knew this, but since he knew that the two of them were not on good terms, but he still summoned the two of them together, which made Gushinjiro and Tojo Tokuhara a little unhappy. Both of them were considered jounin. Not only were they excellent in ninjutsu, but they also had strong team combat ability and sneaking ability, which was what Enpei needed. Prime Minister, you summoned us together. It seems that things are really troublesome. Gushinjiro said. But if you trust Koga Ryu, then Iga Ryu, will take the initiative to withdraw. I won't snatch this credit from someone. What are you talking about? Don't make it sound like I'm here to snatch some credit from you. Tojo Tokihara said. I'm here because the Prime Minister summoned me. If there's anything you need me to do, I definitely won't be a coward. If you don't have the ability to do it, don't find excuses. Seeing that the two of them had met, the smell of gunpowder instantly thickened. Enpei was also a little uneasy. The two of you are indispensable talents of the Yamato people of Japan. Please don't have any other thoughts. I called the two of you here because I, Enpei, know that the country needs you now. After all, Enpei was the Prime Minister, so he still had to give him face. No matter how unwilling Gushinjiro was to stay in the same room with Tojo Tokihara, he could only endure it. Prime Minister, what's the matter? Please tell me. Tojo Tokihara said. I will do my best. Good. Both of you have expressed your loyalty to the great Japanese Empire. Enpei said. I might as well say it directly. I need your people to sneak into Huaxia and use the fastest speed to find a guy the Americans want to find. His name is Kevin Matthew. I will give you the photo. He is very likely to be connected to the relevant departments in Huaxia, so it is a very troublesome matter. I know that I can only rely on you for this kind of thing, because Iga Ryu and Koga Ryu are the best ninjutsu schools in the great Japanese Empire. Seeing that Gushinjiro and Tojo Tokihara were frowning, Enpei changed his words. This is a chance to prove which of you is the best school. Whoever can bring Kevin Matthew back to me, I will record your school in history. It will be called the #1 ninjutsu school in the world. Let the future generations admire and worship you. In any case, tampering with history was not a big deal to Enpei-san. It did not matter. Such a small matter could be settled with a word. Chapter 1044. Recently, Enpei was not only troubled by the support rate of the country's people. Although he had arranged for the lackey who was killed by a car to promote the idea of defending Japan and belittling Huaxia. However, Huaxia never lacked hot-blooded youths who brought trouble to him. Just a few days ago, on July 25th, the 120th anniversary of the start of the Sino-Japanese Naval War, a middle-aged man named Lu Guoqiang was in front of the Japanese Consulate General in Guangxin Province. He was wearing a Navy performance suit and unfurled a poster of the Sino-Japanese Naval War that he had prepared beforehand to take photos. Speaking of Lu Guoqiang, he was definitely the most extreme representative of the anti-Japanese patriots. Lu Guoqiang had once thrown a flaming bottle at the gate of the Japanese Yasukuni shrine, because the Noda government refused to apologize on the issue of the comfort women. A year later, Lu Guoqiang felt that the Japanese government's attitude towards the issue of the comfort women was negative. He threw a flaming bottle at the Japanese embassy in Korea and was arrested and charged. He was later sentenced to 10 months in prison. After that, the Korean anti-Japanese group demonstrated outside the High Court, demanding that the authorities refuse to extradite Huaxia Lu Guoqiang to Japan. In the end, the Korean court decided to extradite Lu Guoqiang to Huaxia. Perhaps many people did not understand him and said that he was a fool, or that he was crazy. However, if there was no such person who used his actions to tell the Japanese that Huaxia did not lack hot-blooded men, how arrogant would the Japanese be? This was the 9th time Lu Guoqiang had demonstrated at the Japanese consulate. This time, he requested to discuss the crime of the comfort women with the Japanese consulate general, as well as the fact that he had once set fire to the Yasukuni shrine. Although Lu Guoqiang was not allowed to enter the garden building where the consulate was located, his actions still let many Huaxia people see the hot-blooded side of China. Japan apologizes and compensates, and the rise of China displayed Lu Guoqiang's national spirit. And Pei knew very well that Lu Guoqiang's actions were for two types of people. One was the Japanese, letting them see the self-reliance and resistance of the Huaxia people. The other was the Huaxia people, hoping that his actions would evoke the national spirit of the Huaxia people. This was something that Pei didn't want to see. The fact that the Japanese media was paying attention to this matter gave him a headache. But what troubled Pei the most was that he was afraid that Lu Guoqiang's actions would awaken more Huaxia people. Pei hoped that the Huaxia people would not get rid of their selfish, cowardly, and internal strife. If there were more people like Lu Guoqiang who had overcome their cowardice, how would he, Pei, dare to visit the Yasukuni shrine again? Even if every Huaxia person who went to Japan for a holiday or study abroad went to the Yasukuni shrine to pee, they could drown the Class A war criminals they worshipped. It was enough to make their Yasukuni shrine collapse. What made Pei even more flustered was that Lu Guoqiang wanted to establish a Ryukyu History Research Society. If that was the case, then the fact that Huaxia had arrived on Turtle Island would be exposed. Pei told his lackeys to spread the word that the ancient Han people couldn't go as far as Turtle Island. Only the Japanese had the ability to go as far as Turtle Island. Once the Ryukyu History Research Society was established, more people would realize that Huaxia's earliest records of Turtle Island could be traced back to the Sui dynasty 1,000 years ago. Taiwan Island and Turtle Island were adjacent to another independent country called Ryukyu. Emperor Yang of Sui once sent an envoy, Zhu Quan, and Zhou Zhenzhou to lead an army to attack Ryukyu. Huaxia's earliest records of Turtle Island could be traced back to the Ming dynasty's first year of Yongle. Huaxia's Yangzai first stopped at Turtle Island in 1372. In the 11th year of Jiajing, Chen Can's Ryukyu envoy called Turtle Island a fishing island. It was already in Huaxia's waters. During that time, the Ming dynasty's Turtle Island was under the jurisdiction of Taiwan Island. In the middle of the Ming dynasty, Qi Jiguang used Turtle Island as a strategic line of defense against the Wokou pirates. Later on, the Qing dynasty's Kangxi emperor conferred the title of King Ryukyu as Shangji Wang. He promised to pay tribute every 2 years and called Huaxia the father country. All the maps of the Ming and Qing dynasties clearly indicated that Turtle Island was part of Huaxia. This was the historical truth that Pei had always wanted to destroy. The Taiwan Baoyu group had the support of the Three Lotus Gang. Pei's Heizuki unit had been wiped out, and he was powerless to fight back. Lu Guoqiang was not afraid of anything. Since he had made up his mind to fight the Japanese to the end, he was not afraid even if he died without a complete corpse. Once a person lost their selfishness and fear, Enpei wouldn't dare to touch him. If he dared to hurt Lu Guoqiang now, he would immediately be attacked by all kinds of unfavorable comments. He had already lost the support of half of the people. If this continued, he would really be forced to step down. Enpei had no time to deal with these troublesome matters. He needed to think of a more perfect lie to appease the people of the Japanese. He needed to think of a more perfect lie to change the people's view of him. He needed to use too many lies to cover up the previous lies, so that people would continue to believe his nonsense. Of course, appeasing was only temporary. He only needed to win the support of the Americans and let the people see that their backing was still strong. That was the only way to completely quell the opposition within the country. As long as the Americans were on his side, he would dare to kill the Iguchi-gumi. He would let these people who supported Huaxia completely die. Only then would he be able to rest easy. He didn't want the Americans to help him, only Enpei. He had to do something that would satisfy the Americans. Enpei stared at the ceiling and fell into deep thought. Kevin Matthew, no matter where you are, even if I have to dig 3 feet into the ground, I will give you to the Americans. Both Jiro Furuyama and Tojo Tuahara attached great importance to this matter. Their competition for the position of the ninja sect was extremely fierce. Therefore, they had to be one step ahead of the other party in this mission. Jiro Furuyama, IGA Ryu is no longer the IGA Ryu of the past. I think you should save it. Even if you go on this trip to Huaxia, you will return empty-handed. Why don't you just give up? Tojo Tuahara said provocatively as he walked out of the Prime Minister's office. Jiro Furuyama had been ignoring Tojo Tuahara, but when he heard his sarcastic words, he naturally didn't want to be outdone. Do you think your Koga-ryu is stronger than us? You are just a bunch of mobs who know how to use poison. Do you know the true essence of ninjutsu? Tuahara, let me tell you, I will definitely succeed in this mission. I advise you not to act rashly and go to Huaxia. There are many experts in Huaxia. I'm afraid that you won't even know how you died when you go there. Then let's see who can come back alive from Huaxia. Tojo Tuahara wasn't afraid of Jiro Furuyama's threat. I'm afraid that the person who will die in Huaxia will be you. Then I'll wait for your schemes. Jiro Furuyama sneered. This time, his first mission in Huaxia wasn't to find Kevin Matthew, but to destroy the Koga-ryu ninja that Tojo Tuahara brought over. Let's see what he can use to fight him then. Chapter 1045. Although the sky had gradually darkened, the atmosphere in the large conference room of the Divine Dragon Brigade did not reduce. Su Yin had matched the members according to the situation of the various special forces. They were basically divided into 2 groups, mainly to deal with unexpected situations. If each person acted alone, it would be difficult to deal with if they encountered an enemy or a situation that occurred in small groups. If 2 people worked together, it would be better to deal with the enemy. The grouping needed to be meticulous. This was not a matter of being in a group with someone who had a good relationship. When Su Yin was serving as the instructor and captain of the Dragon Fury team, he was very clear about the importance of this kind of grouping. 2 people would definitely have their own strengths, and could complement each other's weaknesses. This kind of grouping was the best choice. As Su Yin had been away for a while, in terms of the individual combat qualities and strengths and weaknesses of the Special Forces members, he needed a few captains to give him advice. Therefore, the grouping took a long time. Of course, after the grouping was over, there was a more rigorous inspection and inspection mission to complete. Therefore, after the entire meeting ended, the clock was already pointing to 8 in the evening. At this time, all the Special Forces members who were selected to carry out this comprehensive and silent interception mission hadn't even had a bite to eat. However, everyone was full of energy and didn't feel hungry at all. Finally, after Su Yin announced that all the arrangements were completed, everyone stretched and straightened their backs after sitting for a few hours. At this time, the rumbling of their stomachs made them realize that dinner time had long passed. Of course, the cafeteria wouldn't cook a meal for them. However, since they were on a mission, they had a better choice. Su Yin announced the order on the spot. Everyone was divided into their own groups and went to the area they were in charge of. They found a place to eat. There were no special requirements. They could eat anything. The only thing that was not allowed was drinking. During the mission, they were absolutely not allowed to drink. Even if they wouldn't get drunk, they definitely couldn't violate the rules. This time, everyone was happy. Although it was said that the meals in the Special Operations Group were quite sumptuous and there was no shortage of nutritious food. However, what was lacking was the variety of food from the outside world. For example, barbecued mutton skewers and Yenjing's traditional hot pot. These things couldn't be eaten in the army. It was definitely the wish of the members of the Special Forces to have the chance to have a meal. Of course, it would be best if they could drink a few glasses of wine. However, since Su Yun had this rule, no one dared to touch it. As the saying goes, wine is a poison that breaks the intestines, lust is a steel knife that cuts the bones, wealth is the king of hell, and anger is the root of disaster. Therefore, these 4 points belong to a very big discipline. Wine, women, avarice, and temper, the 4 walls, everybody hides inside. To be able to walk outside the walls. Even if one is not an immortal, his life is still long. This was a point of view that Wang Yi supported, so Su Yun was still very supportive of his work. However, Su Yun personally didn't think so. He felt that there was an old saying that made more sense. If you don't get drunk when drinking, you're a hero when you're lustful. If you don't want money, don't take it. Just bear with it and let it go. After Su Yun gave the order, everyone left the Dragon Brigade. Their first task wasn't to eat, but to rent some of the most common consumer cars on the streets at the car rental shops as fast as they could. In order to make it easier for their task, it was too easy for them to be seen through if they drove the army's cars. After all, they were plain clothes. Regarding this matter, Su Yun didn't want to trouble his brothers. He directly asked Ma San'er to help him contact more than 10 car rental shops. He directly asked his brothers to go to a place that was close to their respective areas to rent cars. This way, it wouldn't arouse the suspicion of many people renting cars. After this matter was settled, everyone finally had dinner. They didn't come out to enjoy themselves because they were on a mission. They definitely couldn't stay in a hotel. It was already very good to be able to rent a car and sleep in it. Su Yun didn't arrange for anyone to be in the same group as him. Huo Leitang also asked Su Yun about this. He was worried that Su Yun wouldn't be easy to deal with. Su Yun told him that he still had Lin Gu by his side, so Huo Leitang didn't need to worry at all. Koyama Jiro mobilized almost all of the IGA Ryu's Jonin and Chunin. Because of the development of the times, there were fewer and fewer young people who could endure the hardships of being a ninja. Therefore, although IGA Ryu was now the sect with the most ninjas in Japan, there were only 50 Jonin and Chunin in total. Although Koyama Jiro still had hundreds of genin under him, he didn't arrange for any of them because he knew that genin wasn't enough to carry out such a task. If it weren't for the competition with Koga Ryu's Tojo Toihara, he might not even be prepared to send out Chunin. On the other hand, Koga Ryu's preparations were also quite conscientious. Tojo Toihara also gathered all of his Jonin and Chunin. In terms of numbers, they did not have the advantage. Koga Ryu only had 41 Jonin and Chunin, which was 9 less than IGA Ryu. However, Tojo Toihara still believed that this wasn't a situation that could be changed with just 9 people. After entering Huaxia, they needed to conduct a carpet search. Koyama Jiro would inevitably rely on his large number of people to cover a larger area. Therefore, Tojo Toihara could use Koyama Jiro's scattered manpower to secretly deal with IGA Ryu's people. As long as a group of IGA Ryu ninjas was taken care of, this matter would be simple. Of course, Tojo Toihara would keep this conspiracy a secret until all of them landed in Huaxia. Otherwise, once the news was leaked and IGA Ryu was prepared, they would lose more than they gained. Because Prime Minister Abe's request was quite urgent, they acted quickly. They all dressed up as tourists and got tourist visas to fly into Huaxia. After such a large number of suspicious people appeared at Huaxia Airport, they naturally couldn't escape Qianfeng and Hua Xiaolu, who were in charge of waiting at the airport's key entrance. Su Yun arranged for the 2 of them to be in this place, because both of them had a more sensitive sense of smell than others. Once a Japanese dog entered the country, their intuition would give them a different feeling. This intuition seemed to be innate, just like a cheetah's innate sense of smell for hunting. This feeling is very strange. Hua Xiaolu said, generally speaking, the expression of a passenger when going abroad shouldn't be like this. Not only is there no sense of excitement, but there is also a sense of vigilance. There must be something wrong with these people. Qianfeng had begun to lose control of his emotions. But Hua Xiaolu quickly stopped Qianfeng's impulsive thoughts and pressed him into the car seat. There are many of them, and this is the airport. It's not good to complicate matters. We will follow them first. When they settle down somewhere, it won't be too late to carry out the next step of the plan. Now let's inform everyone to be prepared. This was the reason why Su Yun arranged Hua Xiaolu and Qianfeng to be in the same group. In the past, he was the one who led Qianfeng. Su Yun naturally understood Qianfeng's impulsive personality. Although Hua Xiaolu was also a young and hot-tempered person, at the critical moment, Hua Xiaolu was still very cautious in judging things. This could make up for Qianfeng's impulsiveness. Chapter 1046. No matter how smart Qianfeng and Hua Xiaolu were, they definitely wouldn't have thought that old dog Ampere would arrange for two opposing groups of people to enter Huaxia at the same time. They only targeted the first group of suspicious people to enter Huaxia and didn't stay at the airport. Thus, they missed Tojo Tuahara's group of Koguryu guys who landed at Yinjing Airport a few hours later. There were gains and losses. Qianfeng and Hua Xiaolu quickly determined the hotel the suspicious people were staying at, and quickly notified Su Yun. The hotel the suspicious people were staying at was in the area that Hua Leitang and Han Zhan were in charge of. The two of them rushed to the scene immediately, because the news that Qianfeng and Hua Xiaolu released was too shocking. Everyone in the tour group was suspicious. This was a bit too much. Su Yun trusted Hua Xiaolu and Qianfeng's intuition and sixth sense. That was why he arranged for the two of them to stay at the airport, which was the easiest place for suspicious people to enter the country. Now that he received such shocking news, Su Yun immediately rushed to the scene with Lin Ge. Ma San'er definitely didn't want to get involved in this kind of thing. He didn't even want the two of them to stay at his place. However, there was no other way. Su Yun didn't plan to let go of the matter of the golden jade clothes, so Ma San'er had to be on tenterhooks for at least the next few days. What if Su Yun was targeted by someone, and they followed him to the Pan Garden, and took advantage of Su Yun's absence to come in and take revenge? Wouldn't that be a big loss? Thinking of this, Ma San'er quickly put away all the valuable things, leaving behind some fake decorations to keep up appearances. When Su Yun brought Lin Ge to the hotel, Hua Leitang and Han Zhan were already there. Qianfeng knew that Su Yun had a lot of questions, so he glanced at Hua Xiaolu and signaled for him to explain to Su Yun in detail. Hua Xiaolu nodded and said to Su Yun, "Boss, these people are definitely not from a tour group." After they walked out of the airport, they didn't have the excitement and joy that tour group members should have. Their expressions were only nervous, vigilant, and cautious. Yes, Qianfeng added. What's even more suspicious is that there's no difference in height between these people. They're all of the same stature, just slightly thinner. The height difference is at most 2 or 3 centimeters. Hearing this, Su Yun couldn't help but frown. Indeed, this matter was really a bit strange. They were both slightly thin, and the height difference was not big. At this moment, Su Yun had a thought in his mind. "Boss, what do you think?" Qianfeng asked. Su Yun's gaze drifted to the hotel where these suspicious people were staying, and he said in a low voice, "Ninjas." Ninjas. Everyone's expression was the same. Generally speaking, ninjas carried out missions with at most 3 to 5 people, but this tour group had so many people. Wasn't it a bit exaggerated? Ninjutsu requires a light body. Being thin is a common characteristic of most ninjas. Su Yun. If I'm not wrong, the Japanese are very active. They're determined to get Kevin Matthew. It seems they must have received orders from their American masters. Hua Leitang was a bit confused. Ampere's cabinet is about to lose support, and he's still in the mood to help the Americans. What if the Americans will only help him if he helps them? Su Yun asked back. Based on the current situation, If the Americans don't intervene in the Japanese government's affairs, that old dog Ampere has no ability to settle their domestic affairs. He needs help, so he's so eager to help his American godfather. Hua Xiaolu's eyes widened. Damn, this group has at least dozens of ninjas. This is really a headache. At this moment, a few black shadows flashed out of the hotel. Although it was a fleeting scene, it still didn't escape the eyes of Su Yun and the others. The 6 of them all became alert. Their car was parked less than 200 meters away from the hotel. Immediately after, a few more black shadows flashed out of the hotel and disappeared into the night at the fastest speed. Not good. Su Yun was shocked. Brother, you're right. These people are definitely a group of ninjas, Lin Ge said. While they were talking, who knew how many black shadows had already come out of the hotel? The Japanese have really put in a lot of effort this time. Su Yun silently put the communicator on his waist to his mouth. All the Special Forces members who went out on missions had a rice grain headset in their ears, so that they could get Su Yun's orders immediately. Everyone pay attention. Su Yun said, "The enemy has appeared, the enemy has appeared. Everyone, get ready for battle. The enemy's identity is determined to be Japanese ninjas, and their strength is above that of a Chunin. The number of people is estimated to be between 40 to 50. Everyone be vigilant. The enemy has a large number of people. All team members, don't act alone. All team members, immediately monitor all movements in the area you're in charge of. When you have the upper hand, kill the enemy members without mercy." After the order was given, all the Special Forces members instantly became alert. This was Yanjing, the capital of Huaxia. If the Japanese allowed a few ninjas to do whatever they wanted, they would be undeserving of being called the sharp blade of the nation. Su Yun's order to kill without mercy was like a shot of stimulant for everyone. After all, everyone came out to do something. If they were idle, they would get sleepy. Now that they had something to do, they were naturally elated. The Special Forces members of the Dragon Brigade were like cars. They weren't afraid of driving, but they were afraid of idling. Idling would cause problems. The 2 of you, hurry back to the airport as fast as you can. I have a feeling that things aren't that simple. After Su Yun gave the order, he put away the communication device and said to Qianfeng and Hua Xiaolu. His sixth sense gave him an ominous premonition. He couldn't explain it clearly, but it was especially bad. Qianfeng and Hua Xiaolu accepted the order and immediately rushed back. However, they didn't know that in the 3 hours they were dealing with the unexpected situation, another group of guests had already arrived at the airport. Tojo Tuahara led his men out of the airport and took a deep sniff of Yanjing's air. He sneered, "The Ijiryu people are already here. It looks like we're still a step behind them." "How do you know?" Tojo Tuahara's most trusted superior ninja asked. "Because Jirogushin has the smell of scum on him. Wherever he goes, there will always be the smell of scum." Tojo Tuahara still had a cold smile on his face. Jirogushin had learned this method of leaving behind the smell from a dog. In order to remember its route, a dog would use urine as a mark. Jirogushin would do the same. However, his urine was prepared beforehand and not sprinkled on the spot. This was a habit he had developed when he was young. When he was training in the mountains when he was young, he would often get lost. The superior ninja who taught Jirogushin did not allow him to use a dagger to mark tree trunks. Therefore, he invented using the smell of urine as a mark, just like a dog. Chapter 1047. The ninjas under him looked at Toihara in surprise, their eyes wide open. That kind of admiration was definitely like a torrential river. "Leader Toihara, you're really too amazing. We admire you so much. I can't believe that your nose can even smell a few drops of Gushin Jiro's urine. It seems that we still have a lot to learn." "Of course," Toshihara snorted. "Not to mention a few drops of Gushin Jiro's urine. Even if he farted and the wind blew it 1,000 meters away, I would be able to smell whether the buns he ate for lunch were stuffed with leeks or carrots. Let me tell you, as ninjas, our nose is an organ that needs to be trained." He could still smell a fart that was blown 1,000 meters away. He was indeed the leader of the Koga Ryu. Even a dog would be ashamed of his nose. The leader is indeed the leader. With you, Leader Tashihara, the Koga Ryu will definitely be able to trample the Iga Ryu under our feet. Please be sure to teach us the unique skill of smelling farts from 1,000 meters away. This is not something that can be learned in a short period of time, but I will definitely do my best to guide you. Tashihara pointed to a trash can not far away and said, Gushinjiro dropped his urine at the bottom of this trash can. You can go and smell it. Then, I will guide you on how to distinguish the acidity in the urine smell. Then, you can taste each other's urine for better learning. Yes. Everyone bowed and said with a sincere attitude. This group of people was really hardworking. Even if Tohihara Tojo asked them to eat shit, they would probably take the jar to the public bathroom and scoop it up to eat. When Qianfeng and Hua Xiaolu returned to the vicinity of the airport, Tashihara's group of Koga Ryu ninjas had already left. The atmosphere at the airport had already eased and calmed down. The two of them did not know that there was a second wave of Japanese invaders. This was a hidden crisis for all their special forces members. The calm airport made the two of them more or less relaxed. Obviously, Su Yin was sure that those people would not turn back to the area they were guarding. They only needed the two of them to ensure that the airport was safe. Compared to the other brothers who were ready to meet the Japanese ninjas at any time, the two of them were definitely at ease. Qianfeng picked up a newspaper thrown by a low-quality guy and flipped through it randomly. Suddenly, he was surprised by a piece of news. What the F***ck Hua, look at this news. It's amazing. Qianfeng pointed at the newspaper and said, Japanese cross-generational babies caused ethical controversy. 110 daughters-in-law got pregnant with their father-in-law's tadpoles. Io, if such a thing is born, how awkward would it be for a man? Should I call him son or brother? That's too difficult. What's so difficult about that? His father gave birth to a younger brother for him. Call him daddy brother. Hua Xiaolu snorted. There were strange things everywhere, especially in Japan. Even if one had to wait a long time to eat this expensive feces, there would still be a lot of people waiting in line. There was also frog juice, which was directly thrown into the juicer and squeezed into meat paste to drink. There was also the even more disgusting cold nematode, which was a type of worm. It was a common parasitic roundworm in the human body. Usually, it was the most parasitic in children's bodies, and was usually excreted with feces. There was also the cold soy sauce rat fetus, which was made by mixing newborn rats with sweet sauce and spreading them all over the freshly baked toast. Therefore, this kind of daddy brother baby was no big deal to some perverted Japanese. Perhaps if this baby did not survive, they would even use it as a feast. In Japan, there were many perverted people who ate brains and dead babies. These only cost about 10,000 Japanese yen. Dead babies or fetuses could be bought from the hospital. It was very cheap. Just as the two of them were thinking about how the Japanese were capable of doing anything because of this cross-generational baby, a strange object entered their vision. In an inconspicuous corner, the two of them actually discovered an anime dagger that was shining with a cold light. When they got closer to take a look, they realized that it wasn't an anime dagger, but a common small weapon used by Japanese ninjas on a daily basis. Kunai. The sudden discovery of this thing instantly made the two of them alert. This was because after these suspicious ninjas disguised as tourists appeared, the two of them had been following them. They were completely sure that they had not been to this place. Now that this thing actually appeared in this place, what did this mean? It meant that other than the group of suspicious people, there were more. There were more that they missed. Qianfeng and Hua Xiaolu looked at each other and frowned. This was bad. Their unauthorized departure might mean that they missed a lot of information that they should not have missed. What should we do? Hua Xiaolu was just about to pick up the kunai on the ground. Qianfeng pulled him back and stopped him. There's no poison on this thing. It's better not to touch it. Let's inform the boss first and wait for him to give us an order. Okay. Hua Xiaolu nodded and did not touch the kunai on the ground. It turned out that Qianfeng was right to stop Hua Xiaolu from picking it up. This kunai was indeed coated with poison. And the poison was especially strong. Koga Ryu Tojo Tashihara had purposely ordered his subordinates to do this because they knew that Iga Ryu people had already arrived. Perhaps Gushinjiro had already arranged for his people to investigate every corner of Yenjing. If Iga-ryu people saw it, they would think that someone had thrown it away. As long as they reached out to pick it up, there would be no escape. This kind of poison could seep through the skin and quickly numb a person's consciousness and heart, causing them to fall into a life-or-death situation. After Su Yun received Qianfeng and Hua Xiaolu's notification, his first reaction was to not let them touch this thing. He felt that this matter was not that simple. Su Yun asked Hua Leitang and Han Zhan to stay behind at the Japanese's hotel, while he rushed to the vicinity of Yenjing Airport with Lin Ge. This kunai was closely guarded by Qianfeng and Hua Xiaolu. Su Yun took out a paper stick from his pocket. This was given to him by Yu Marin when he ordered all the mission members to leave the Dragon Brigade. Because the Japanese were despicable, Yu Marin was worried. This paper stick was a kind of paper stick that she had recently developed to identify poison. It was similar to a rapid pregnancy test, but this kind of poison test would quickly change color when it came into contact with poison. Because using poison and medicine was a common trick of the Japanese ninjas, Su Yun placed the poison test stick on the kunai. Soon the poison test stick changed color. And the color was very, very dark. Yu Marin said that the darker the color, the more poisonous it was, and the more it should not be touched. Su Yun did not dare delay this matter. He once again informed everyone of what they had discovered. All the ninja weapons found on the road were to be collected without touching them. Finally, he would think of a way to disinfect and destroy them. Now they were facing a big problem because they did not know how many of these things were on the road. If an ignorant passerby or a naughty child picked them up, wouldn't it be dangerous? Chapter 1048. All the members of the Special Forces went through a thorough inspection of the city. Because of the importance of this matter, Su Yun made a request to Wang Yi. The current 30 members of the Special Forces might not be enough to deal with these dangerous things in a short period of time. Emergency reinforcements were needed. Wang Yi knew the seriousness of the matter. Without another word, he immediately went to the Dragon Brigade and blew the whistle for an emergency assembly. The brigade once again arranged for 30 members of the Special Forces to be dispatched to provide support to Su Yun and the others. Although it was now confirmed that the Japanese ninjas had entered Huaxia, Wang Yi was still as calm as still water. Back then, the Japanese had committed crimes in Huaxia because the country was not strong enough. Now it was different. If the youth were strong, the country would be strong. Su Yun and the others were all strong soldiers who had been trained since they were young. With them, what was there to be afraid of? Many people might be puzzled. Since they knew that the Japanese ninjas arranged by Old Dog Ampere were targeting Kevin Matthew, why did the Special Forces of the Dragon Brigade, as the country's sharp blades, not protect and guard Kevin Matthew, but instead engaged in guerrilla warfare, ambushes, and encounters? This was because there was a separate department to protect Kevin Matthew, just like there was a special department to protect the leader. These people who specialized in protection were not simple people. Although it was said that the experts were among the people, there were also many experts whose names we didn't even know who chose to remain unknown and contribute to the country. These people's sentiments were even greater. Although Kevin Matthew was an important figure, the organization had entrusted Wan Guangxiao with full authority to handle this matter. Now the focus of the country's governance was on anti-corruption. They had to strike hard. Kill the fly and the tiger together. This saying was not a joke. Just from the identity of the big tiger, who had fallen one after another not long ago, it could be seen that the leaders of Huaxia were not joking about this matter, or putting on a show. Those big shots who often appeared in the news had also fallen from power. It could be seen that Huaxia had a positive attitude in this regard. People were always greedy. From the Eastern Han dynasty's great general Liangji to the Qing dynasty's Niuhu Lu and Shenshen, there was no lack of corrupt officials. Once people had power, there would naturally be subtle changes. If one didn't control this change well, it would be easy to step into a bottomless abyss. What did power mean? It meant money and beautiful women. Those were things that you couldn't push out of the door even if you wanted to. Lust was like a steel knife that could cut off one's bones. Wealth was like the king of hell. How many corrupt officials had fallen into the hands of mistresses or mistresses? How many corrupt officials trembled at the mention of the family property inspection, screaming in their hearts, "I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die." The country's leaders were striking hard to get rid of these big tigers, so that the people could get more benefits in the future. At this time, they absolutely could not be disturbed. Moreover, a mere Japanese ninja wanted to stir up trouble in Yenjing City. That old dog Ampere really thought too highly of the Japanese. Iga Ryu's people had been dispatched all over the city. Under the orders of Jiro Furuyama, everyone acted alone to check all the places where Kevin Matthew might be. This had an absolute advantage in terms of speed, but once the combat power was scattered, these guys would lose their lives quickly. Iga Ryu's ninja Kenzo Fujimi accidentally saw a kunai on the ground, and thought that it was lost by his companion. He picked it up, wiped it clean, and stuffed it into his pocket. After running for less than 100 meters, he fell to the ground. It was late now, and there wasn't much nightlife in the old alleys of Yenjing City. No one noticed that he fell here. Iga Ryu's Jonin Okawa Yui was attracted by the lights of an old house. After entering the house, an old man was sitting cross-legged. Seeing that there was nothing in the house that attracted his attention, Okawa Yui angrily kicked the table and cursed. He directly took out a shuriken from his pocket and was ready to kill the old man. The old man who was sitting cross-legged suddenly glared angrily. Before Okawa Yui could react, the old man had already made his move. 3 sharp winds cut through the night sky, and the dignified Jonin was instantly killed by the 3 buttons in the old man's hand. He couldn't even withstand a single blow. This old man's strength was definitely not weaker than an expert like Wan Guangxiao from the Dragon Brigade. This was what it meant to be a true expert among the people. Huaxia was such an ancient country, and Yenjing was such an ancient metropolis. How many capable people lived in seclusion here? Perhaps even the people in Huaxia didn't know. Not to mention the Japanese. They came to Huaxia and wandered around. They were looking for death. After the old man dealt with Okawa Yui, he immediately dialed a phone number. "I have a situation here. You'd better arrange 2 of your people to come and take a look." The one he was talking about was none other than Wan Guangxiao. One could imagine how mysterious this old man's identity was. Of course, these were the lucky ones. There were also Iga Ryu Jonin like Kaboshi, who was directly attacked by the special forces of the Dragon Brigade. Kaboshi wanted to escape, but facing Yuan Qingdi and Xingzhe, 2 experts of the Dragon Battle Special Forces, he had no chance to escape. He could only stay and be tortured. In the end, he didn't even know how he was killed. In just 1 hour, Iga Ryu ninjas lost more than 10 people. Jiro Furuyama, who was staying in the hotel, didn't know that all this had happened. He quietly stayed in the room and drank tea, thinking about how to deal with Tokuhara, but he didn't know that Tokuhara had already attacked him. Iga Ryu Jonin Amami was investigating when he was suddenly surrounded by several ninjas. Both sides started to fight with ninjutsu without saying a word, and shurikens filled the wall. Jiro Amami couldn't fight against 4 hands with 2 fists, and he was killed in the end. Finally, Su Yun and Lin Gu bumped into the Japanese who were working in the middle of the night. However, they didn't bump into one person, but a few Koga Ryu ninjas who had just killed Jiro Amami. After Su Yun and Lin Gu saw this scene with their own eyes, they really couldn't understand why they would attack each other. Could it be that they had just arrived in Yenjing, and there was already an internal conflict? Were there pro-Japanese and anti-Japanese factions among the ninjas? But they didn't have to kill each other. Baka! You guys die. Yoichi Yamashita thought that Su Yun and Lin Gu were ordinary people who had witnessed them killing people. He was afraid that the 2 of them would call the police, so he took out his shurikens and prepared to kill the 2 of them in an instant. These Japanese were really ruthless. The anger in Su Yun's heart burned. The Japanese ninjas' behavior of treating Huaxia's lives like child's play had directly touched Su Yun's bottom line. Seeing the 2 shurikens thrown out by Yoichi Yamashita, Lin Gu didn't say anything. He raised his wrist, and 2 cold lights shot out. With a clink, the 2 shurikens fell to the ground after colliding with 2 coins. Yoichi Yamashita was shocked, and Koizumi Yang beside him was also quite shocked. Yoichi Yamashita was the most skilled in using hidden weapons in the Koga Ryu, But they didn't expect the two shurikens to be easily dealt with by the other party. The other party's strength was not ordinary. The other two chunins were shocked. To be able to block Yoichi Yamashita's shurikens so easily, it meant that the other party's strength was definitely above theirs. Grandson, consider yourself unlucky to have met your grandpa today. Lin Gu rubbed his fists and said, "Let grandpa play with you guys." Dove, be careful. Suyin didn't have any intention of attacking. From the speed of Lin Ji's attack just now, he was shocked to discover that Lin Ji's strength had increased tremendously. This kind of increase was definitely terrifying. It was impossible for a normal person to reach such a realm at such a fast speed. Suyin guessed that perhaps Lin Gu was also affected by Guogua. Chapter 1049. Seeing that the opponent was an expert, Koizumi Yang made a prompt decision to strike first. The hidden weapons in his hands were thrown over without a care in the world. Knowing that Huaxia's experts were not easy to deal with, the Japanese ninjas knew the principle of ending the battle quickly. However, Lin Gu picked up a large wooden board from somewhere and waved it. All the hidden weapons were nailed to the wooden board, and did not hurt Lin Gu at all. Seeing this, Yamashita Ryo immediately joined Koizumi Yang's battle. He knew that two fists were no match for four hands. If he joined forces with Koizumi Yang, it would be easier to deal with the expert in front of him. Seeing that the two jonins had joined the battle, Suyin still stood calmly at the side. With his current strength, he did not care about the jonins. Even if the ancestors of the ninjas came, Suyin would not even look at them. After all, the ninjas in the real world were different from the ones in the anime. They did not have chakra in their bodies, nor did they have 2D skills like the Sharingan. The Japanese ninjas in the real world were just a group of people who knew how to play tricks and use poison. The strongest jonin was at most a first-rate expert. Lin Gu was a true super expert. Dealing with two Japanese jonins was still a piece of cake for him. After a few rounds, not only did Lin Gu not suffer any losses, he even gave each of them a hard smack on the back of their heads with a wooden plank. Koizumi Yang was dizzy from the smacking and could not even stand properly. The two chunin saw that Yamashita Ryo and Koizumi Yang together couldn't deal with one person, so they wanted to run away. However, Suyin would not let them escape so easily. If they wanted to escape, they would have to ask if he was willing to. The biting cold pressure was like an invisible cage that fell from the sky. With a clang, the two chunins who were about to escape the cage were stopped. Suyin did not do anything. He only used his gaze and aura to force the two chunins to retreat. The trembling of their bodies and the helplessness in their eyes showed the fear in their hearts. As Suyun's aura had reached a certain level, these chunins who were at most second-rate experts could not withstand it. Not only were these two chunins unable to withstand it, the two jonins who were struggling to fight Lin Gu were also affected. Although it was only for a moment, Lin Gu still seized the opportunity and punched Yamashita Ryo. Yamashita Ryo was sent flying and crashed into the wall. Koizumi Yang was even more unlucky. Without Yamashita Ryo, all of Lin Ji's attacks were directed at him. Facing Lin Ji's tide-like attacks, little Sun Quan was completely powerless to defend himself. Even if he wanted to defend himself, he couldn't. After taking a few hits, he fell to the ground and broke his neck. White foam came out of his mouth and he stopped breathing. Seeing that Koizumi Yang was dead and Suyun's aura was so strong that they couldn't even stand up, the two chunins knew that they couldn't escape. According to the rules of the ninjas, since they knew that they couldn't escape, they bit the poison packets hidden under their tongues and committed suicide. Yamashita Ryo immediately realized that the situation was hopeless. It would be difficult for him to even save his own life. According to ninja rules, he should be like the two chunins and commit suicide. However, after Yamashita Ryo made up his mind, he realized that he could not do it. Because he did not want to die. He was afraid of facing death. This was something he would not have faced in the past. But now he was really afraid. He was afraid of death not only because he had a higher status, but also because he was affected by Tojo Toihara. Tojo Toihara of the Koguryu was a person who changed the meaning of traditional ninja. The first lesson of a ninja was to understand that one could lose one's life at any time. However, Tojo Toihara instilled in his subordinates the idea of saving their own lives. It was not that Tojo Toihara was afraid of death. He also wanted the Koga Ryu to flourish. The Koga Ryu had few jonins to begin with, and could not be compared to the Iga Ryu. Therefore, he cherished the lives of his subordinates even more. Over time, these Koga Ryu jonins began to cherish their lives and even forgot the original intention of ninjas. Seeing that Yamashita Ryo did not commit suicide by taking poison, Ringo went forward and crippled one of his arms with a crack. Yamashita Ryo endured the pain and swallowed a painful groan. "Who sent you?" Ringo controlled Yamashita Ryo and asked angrily. Suyin waved his hand and said to Ringo, "Don't make it sound like a drama. Aren't you asking the obvious?" Ringo scratched his head. "It was usually like this in movies. Why did you kill him?" Suyin pointed at the Iga Ryu Jonin's corpse and said, "We were born from the same root. Why are you in such a hurry to kill each other?" "I don't understand what you're talking about," Yamashita Ryo said in Japanese. "Who are you?" Fortunately, Suyin could understand. However, he really did not like speaking Japanese. "You still have the face to ask us? Save it. Let me tell you, we know very well about your old dog Ampire's schemes. If you want to leave here alive, then tell us everything we want to know. Speak. Why is there an internal strife?" Hearing that Suyin knew Japanese, Yamashita Ryo was slightly surprised. "Internal strife? He's from the Iga Ryu. He's not from the same sect as us. How can there be internal strife?" "Iga Ryu," Suyin muttered to himself and suddenly realized. "So the people who threw the poisonous kunai on the road were you guys, from the Koga Ryu?" Yamashita Ryo did not refute, which meant that he agreed to this fact. "Koga Ryu? Iga Ryu." Ringo widened his eyes and said, "That old dog Ampere really put in a lot of effort." Suyin sneered. "That old dog Ampere really put in a lot of effort. However, his IQ seems to be a little low. He clearly knows that the two sects are at odds with each other because of fighting for status, but he still wants them to cooperate. This is easy. If we can let the dogs fight each other, we won't have to waste any effort." Ringo made a no sound and looked at Suyin with a smirk. "Brother, you're still the smart one. This move is really vicious." "Where's your head?" Suyin asked. "Yamashita Ryo." Yamashita Ryo snorted and did not say anything. "I know that you guys from the Koga Ryu are good at using poison. Your weapon must have all kinds of poisons. You know best how dangerous they are. If you don't want me to experiment on you, then answer me obediently," Suyin said casually, but it made cold under the mountain couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Yamashita Ryo naturally knew how powerful their poison was. "If I say it, will you let me go?" Yamashita Ryo said. "Of course." Suyin nodded. Yamashita Ryo made up his mind and told Suyin the hotel that Tojo Toihara had arranged for them to stay in. Then he asked cautiously, "Now can you let me go?" "Let you go? Are you really stupid or are you pretending to be stupid?" Suyin shook his head speechlessly. "You said it. If I said it, you would let me go." Yamashita Ryo was shocked. "You didn't keep your word. No matter who I trust, I don't trust you Japanese." Suyin shrugged. "Moreover, your people have already touched our Beijing. What face do you have to ask me to let you go? You're too naive. If you feel wronged, go to hell and talk to the king of hell." Chapter 1050. Suyin quickly informed Wang Yi of the situation and explained his plan in detail. As long as they could figure out which of the Japanese they had killed so far were Iga Ryu and which were Koga Ryu, it would be easy to handle. They would first clear the hotel staff and ensure their safety. Then they would throw the Iga Ryu dead people at the door of Gushinjiro's room, and the Koga Ryu dead people at the door of Tojo Toihara's room. Then they would stick a note on them and arrange an open space for them to meet. When the time came, they would be allowed to bite each other. The 60 Special Forces members of the Dragon Brigade would come out to clean up the mess. There was no need to go through so much trouble. Old Dog Ampere thought that his plan was smart, but it was actually stupid. Did he think that Gushinjiro and Tojo Toihara would compete fairly? He really thought too highly of the Japanese. How could despicable people like them compete fairly? They would definitely think of a way to get rid of their competitors first. Old Dog Ampere could not understand such a simple logic. No wonder all the Japanese were so disgusted by him as the prime minister. No wonder his cabinet was about to collapse. No wonder his deputy prime minister looked down on him so much. There was something wrong with his IQ. He really wondered what kind of dog shit he stepped on to have such luck when he became the Prime Minister of Japan. Since the plan had been set, it would be carried out immediately. Almost all the corners of Yenjing City were patrolled by the special forces. All the poisonous kunai were collected and prepared to be destroyed. The dead Japanese ninjas were also identified and thrown to their respective masters. Such a big commotion naturally aroused the anger of Gushinjiro and Tojo Tuahara. The two of them were furious. Looking at the provocation left behind by the note, the two of them did not think too much. This was simply too much. Since they had already arranged a place, they had to keep the appointment. They could not let the other party look down on them. 15 of the IGA Ryu's 50 people had been lost. 35 people were left. And the Koga Ryu had also lost 10 people, leaving 31 people behind. Both sides arrived at the agreed location in a grandiose manner. Su Yun and the others who were hiding in the dark were absolutely shocked. 25 people had already been killed, and there were still 66 people left. That old dog Ampere really had guts. He had arranged for 91 ninjas to enter Huaxia's Beijing to cause trouble. As a defeated country, they weren't allowed to have an army, but the self-defense forces had been transformed into a disguised army. These ninjas, as well as the Kurizuka Special Combat Team, were all disguised troops. They all obeyed the orders of the Japanese government and had done many shady things for them. Tojo Tuahara, you despicable and shameless villain. How dare you use such a method to ambush my men? Gushinjiro said. Today I must teach you a lesson, you despicable and shameless villain. What a disgrace to the East Ocean Empire. Trash. In the dark hiding place, Lingo almost laughed out loud. He lowered his voice and said, "This stupid ball is actually called Little Fatty? F***ck. His parents are really talented. However, it's more appropriate to call him Little Fatty." Tojo Tuahara. Could this guy be a cross between Hideki Tojo, Prime Minister of Japan during World War II, General of the Army, the leader of the Japanese Communist Party during World War II, and the representative of the Japanese Communist Party and the Japanese Communist Party, and Kenji Tuahara, General of the Army of Japan, Class A war criminal, the third-generation head of the Japanese Secret Service who was involved in espionage in Huaxia, the scum behind the establishment of Manchuria and the planning of North China's autonomy. Right? Qianfeng grinned and shook his head. Hua Xiaolu looked at Qianfeng with an affirmative gaze. That's hard to say. Japan even has babies that cross generations. Hideki Tojo and Kenji Tuahara, these two scumbags, gave birth to them. He really didn't understand. What was there to be embarrassed about in Japan? Their face had already been thrown away by Inuchi Toichiro a few years ago, right? Now that old dog Ampere was just smearing the dust on their faces. Ambush? It's an open competition between us. Your people have also killed 10 of my people. Tojo Tuahara didn't know that his people were basically killed by the special forces of the Dragon Brigade. Let's settle this score today. Since you IGA Ryu have always thought that you're the best, then kill us all today. Otherwise, don't be so self-righteous every day. Isn't it just a matter of minutes to kill you all? Jiro Gushin said. You IGA Ryu are just a bunch of despicable people who know how to use poison. Do you understand the true essence of ninjutsu? Today, let me get rid of you scum among the ninjas. Everyone get ready. Don't show mercy. Kill all the IGA Ryu people without mercy. Under Jiro Gushin's command, all the IGA Ryu ninjas took out their ninja swords. As Jiro Gushin preferred this kind of long weapon, the IGA Ryu people were more used to using ninja swords. Some who were good at long-range attacks took out a few shurikens in their hands, ready to join the battle at any time. Tojo Tuahara also shouted angrily, "All the IGA Ryu people, listen to me. Today is the day we reclaim the name of the IGA Ryu. IGA Ryu has been claiming to be the strongest ninja sect for so many years. Today, we will prove to the world that the strongest is the IGA Ryu. IGA Ryu is just a fart. The IGA Ryu people also began to take out their brass knuckles. Although the brass knuckles were short weapons were suitable for close combat and poison. At the same time, there were also people who were good at long-range attacks who prepared hidden weapons such as shurikens and kunai that were smeared with poison. An inch shorter is an inch more dangerous, and an inch longer is an inch more powerful. This seemed to be a battle between ninja swords and brass knuckles. The smell of gunpowder between the two sides had been ignited, and it was about to be triggered. Jiro Gushin and Tojo Tuahara were the first to roar and rush towards each other. The collision between the ninja swords and the brass knuckles produced brilliant sparks in the night. The battle between the leaders of both sides had begun, and the ninjas under them were not to be outdone. They swarmed forward like bees. The scene quickly turned into hell. The people from both sides did not hesitate in their attacks. Every move was aimed at each other's Achilles heel, especially Jiro Gushin and Tojo Tuahara. Their battle was even more intense. Jiro Gushin's sword stabbed towards Tojo Tuahara's heart, and Tojo Tuahara's brass knuckles were also aimed at Jiro Gushin's face. The brass knuckles were poisonous, and Jiro Gushin did not dare to take the risk. Otherwise, his sword would have already pierced through Tojo Tuahara's body. Looking at the chaotic battle in front of him, Lin-Ge rubbed his fists and rubbed his palms. He really wanted to join the battle and teach these Japanese bastards a lesson. However, Suyin did not say anything. Suyin had asked everyone to wait quietly for his reason. The IGA Ryu liked to use poison, and it would be dangerous if they were accidentally injured. He did not want his brothers to take the risk. Based on the current situation, the IGA Ryu had a slight advantage. In this case, it would not be too late for them to come out after the IGA Ryu dealt with the IGA Ryu, and there was no danger of poisoning. Chapter 1051. Jiro Furiyama's IGA Ryu had a few more jonins than Tokiyo's original Koga Ryu, so the whole situation had been controlled by the IGA Ryu. However, the Koga Ryu people were good at using poison. The unknown venom smeared on the knuckles would quickly fester once it touched the skin, making the IGA Ryu people suffer. The fierce battle lasted for nearly an hour. In the end, Jiro Furiyama led the IGA Ryu to the final victory. Of the 91 upper-class ninjas who came to China, only 4 were left. Jiro Furiyama and the 2 jonins under his IGA Ryu, Fujiwara and Fujiharu Shurgen. As for the Koga Ryu, only Tokio Tokihara was left. The rest of the people on both sides were all dead. Of the 91 upper-class ninjas, 4 were dead. Moreover, the members of the Huaxiao Special Forces didn't waste a single soldier. If old Dog Impei found out about this, wouldn't he go crazy from anger? Just thinking about it made Su Yun and the others excited. Tokio Tokihara. Today I will make the Koga Ryu disappear from this world. The anger in Jiro Furiyama's heart was so indescribable. Even if he returned to Japan, he would personally wipe out all the remaining ninjas of the Koga Ryu. Leave none alive. Make the Koga Ryu disappear? Ha ha ha. Then what do you think the IGA Ryu can do? Do you think you are still the biggest ninjutsu sect in Japan? There are only 3 of you left, and the rest of the jonins are vulnerable. Tokio Tokihara smiled sinisterly. I have already contacted the people of the Flying Bird sect. Jiro Furiyama, when you left Japan, the people of the Flying Bird sect went to deal with your remaining henchmen. Ha 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 ha. Even if you kill me today and return to Japan, the IGA Ryu will only be you alone. With your subordinates Fujiwara and Fujiharu Shurgen, you still want to dominate the ninjas of Japan? Dream on. Jiro Furiyama clenched his fists. This bastard is so despicable. Thinking about the genin he left in Japan, they are the future of IGA Ryu. Although their ninjutsu is low, after some training, they can still do something. But now, everything was over. The Flying Bird sect had always been at odds with the IGA Ryu. This was a long time ago. The Flying Bird sect would definitely not let go of this opportunity. As for the genins left in Japan, none of them would be able to survive and they would all be killed. Despicable man, I will humiliate you today. Gushinjiro said. Fujiwara, you two control him. Cut off his arm first. Fujiwara took out his ninja blade, and without a word he slashed it across. The ninja blade was sharp and cut off Tokuhara's arm. The blood was like a fountain, instantly dyeing the entire ground red. However, they did not seem to want Tokuhara to die so quickly. Jiro Furuyama immediately took out a medicine and scattered it on Tokuhara's severed arm. This kind of medicine seemed to be especially effective at stopping the bleeding almost instantly. Aha! Do you think you can change reality by torturing me like this? Tokuhara knew that his death was imminent, so he was not afraid at all. I'm not even afraid of death, so why would I be afraid of your torture? Come on, if I were you, I would cut off your fingers bit by bit. Your torture is nothing to me. Feng-chan. Jiro Furuyama glared again. Continue. Feng-chan Shurgen quickly raised his blade and cut off Tokuhara's other arm. Continue. Jiro Furuyama howled angrily. He could not stop. The anger that was completely ignited caused him to fall into a state where he could not extricate himself. Fujiwara and Feng-chan Shurgen raised their blades at the same time. Two silver beams streaked across the night sky. Tokuhara finally could not help but cry out in pain. Both of his thighs were cut off. Only the Japanese could do such a perverted thing, right? Tokuhara looked as if he had been dismembered by 5 horses. Other than his head, all of his limbs were separated from his body. This bloody and cruel scene made the Special Forces members of the Dragon Brigade feel nauseous. Although they were all people who had seen the world and had seen corpses blasted into meat paste on the battlefield, this was the first time they had seen a dismembered corpse at such a close distance. The Japanese are really cruel. Suyin frowned and said, if this continues, I'm afraid we'll have to watch them peel off his internal organs, right? Brother, I can't watch this any longer. It's 2F** King crazy. Why are these Japanese getting more and more perverted and disgusting? Lin Gu said in disgust. By the way, brother, why did you ask me to bring the fire extinguisher in the car? They didn't set it on fire. You'll know in a while. Suyin smiled slightly. Now was the time for them to show up. Suyin ordered, go. With a simple order, all the Special Forces members on standby seemed to have finally been released. They appeared at the scene from their hiding places and quickly formed an encirclement around Jiro Furuyama. Jiro Furuyama's head buzzed and exploded. His first thought was to suspect that Tokuhara had joined forces with ninjas from other sections. Fujiwara and Kazuharu Shurgen also quickly formed a back-to-back defense mode with Jiro Furuyama. As for Tojo Toihara, he was already unconscious. His death would only end in this kind of pain. Do you know what crime it is to kill someone in Huaxia? Suyin sneered. At this time, Jiro Furuyama realized that the other party was not a ninja, but a group of experts who had been waiting for them to fight among themselves. It's over, we're completely done for. This is your trap. Jiro Furuyama said with trembling lips, a trap. The mission was destined to fail. Not only would he not receive Prime Minister Ampere's praise, but he would also destroy Iga Ryu. Even if he died here today, he really deserved it. He was an eternal sinner of Iga Ryu. Boss, let's retreat quickly. Fujiwara said anxiously. As he spoke, he had already put his hand into his pocket. This small action did not escape Suyun's eyes at all. At the same time, Suyin also snatched the fire extinguisher from Lin Ji's hands and directly pulled the safety pin. Just as Fujiwara smashed the smoke bomb in his hand on the ground, and a cloud of smoke was about to explode, the fire extinguisher in Suyun's hand had already sprayed over. The dry powder quickly suppressed the smoke that had yet to rise. Jiro Furuyama, Fujiwara and Kazuharu Shurgen were also sprayed into white people. They had no chance to escape with the smoke. You're still too inexperienced to play tricks with me. Suyin raised his eyebrows. Are you going to take the initiative to follow us, or do you want us to do it? Jiro Furuyama sneered. I'd rather die than be humiliated. Oh F***ck, you're a F***king Japanese, and you're still using our Huaxia's ancient language. Are you worthy? Qianfeng glared and scolded. At this time, Jiro Furuyama fell to the ground, bleeding from his 7 orifices and died. Obviously, this guy had bitten the poison hidden in his mouth. Even their boss was dead. Fujiwara and Kazuharu Shurgen had no reason to continue living. Immediately after, they bit the poison hidden in their mouths. The last 3 Iga-ryu ninjas also died. Tojo Toihara, whose limbs had been cut off, opened his eyes weakly and said with all his strength, "You Furuyama died 1 step earlier. The winner is me." Chapter 1052. Tojo Toihara endured the intense pain from the broken blade. Where there's life, there's hope. As long as I'm alive, I've won. I won't be as stupid as them. Whatever you want to know, I'll tell you everything. As long as you don't kill me, I'll do whatever you want. What I said is true. It's definitely not child's play. I also said that you Japanese are not allowed to use the ancient language of our Hwaseong. Qianfeng stepped forward and kicked Tojo Toihara to vent his anger, causing him to roll a few times like a rubber ball. This roll affected all the pain nerves in his body. Tojo Toihara groaned in pain. He only wanted to keep his life. Now that medical technology was advanced, he believed that even if he was like this, he could still use medical technology to reconnect his limbs and stand up again. After all, Jiro Furuyama had only asked someone to cut off 2 of his legs, not the 3rd. There's no need. There's no need. Tojo Toihara went all out in order to save his life. I'm really different from them. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. As long as you give me a way out, anything is fine. I'll tell you any of Prime Minister Ampere's plans. I can tell you what he wants us to do here, and who he's looking for. It's a pity that we know all this. Su-yun shook his head. I think you should save it. As a ninja, you're actually so afraid of death. You really don't have any ninja spirit. How could the Koga Ryu let a scum like you lead them? Although that Iga Ryu Jiro Furuyama isn't a good person, compared to you, he's quite gutsy. At least he dared to bite the hidden poison in his mouth. If you can't even do this, how can you be a ninja? I'm not worthy. I'm scum. You can say whatever you want about me. I just want you to give me a way out. Tojo Toihara begged. He seemed to be able to tell that Su-yin was the leader of this group. I beg you, leader. I beg you to give me a way out. Saving a life is better than building a 7-level float. Your King using Hwaseong's words again. Qianfeng once again kicked the back of Tojo Toihara, causing this piece of trash, who had already been sliced to only have his body, to roll a few more times. It had to be said that this guy's desire to live was really strong. Even in this state, he was still not dead. Just how afraid of death was he to have such endurance? It was really hard not to be convinced. I beg you beg. No matter how strong a person was, they would not be able to endure the torment of pain. After being kicked twice by Qianfeng, Tojo Toihara was almost unable to speak. Prime Minister and Pei asked us to come, to find Kevin Ma. Matthew, Su-yin sneered. Unfortunately, your information is of no value to us. We've already gotten this information from a traitor. After pausing for a moment, Su-yin said to Qianfeng, give him a quick death. We Hwaseong people are not as perverted as them. We don't have the hobby of torturing people. Okay. Qianfeng nodded and quickly took out his dagger. Without waiting for Tojo Toihara to speak again, he directly killed him. Everything was over, and Yanjing City had once again returned to its calm and peaceful state. The efficiency of 60 Special Forces members was definitely beyond one's imagination. In just 2 hours, everything was dealt with cleanly. Even if someone passed by the next day, they would not feel anything strange. In this relatively remote and sparsely populated open space in the park, it was as if nothing had happened. The Special Forces members who were selected for the mission thought that it would take at least a few days for them to come out. They did not expect that because of Su-yun's dog-eat-dog strategy, the matter was settled overnight. When the Sandpiper and the Clam fought, the fishermen would reap the benefits. The Dragon Fury team did not waste any energy. The only price they paid was that they did not sleep the entire night. By the time everything was dealt with, the eastern sky had already turned white. It was already 5 in the morning. On the road, people who were doing morning exercises appeared one after another. The mission will be temporarily suspended for a period. Everyone, return to the team in time and be on standby. If there are any abnormalities, you must fight immediately. Su Yun gave the final order. All the members of the Dragon Fury Brigade returned to the headquarters. Wang Yi admired Su Yun's leadership of everyone in the battle. Sometimes, problems could be solved by using one's brain. There was indeed no need to fight and kill. This was what he admired about Su Yun. Because Su Yun knew when to act, and when to use his brain. If the Dragon Brigade had also joined in the battle yesterday, not only would the Sandpiper and the Clam not fight, but the Sandpiper and the Clam would have joined forces. At that time, there would definitely be people who could block the Iga Ryu's Ninjato, but not the Koga Ryu's poisonous knuckles. If that had happened, there would definitely be casualties. Su Yun's actions had effectively prevented the deaths of his own people. From this point alone, it was a quality that a leader should have. Su Yun had the quality to see the big picture. He was a rare person who could lead the overall situation in the future. Wang Yi was glad that Wan Guangxiao had let Su Yun leave that year. He was glad that Su Yun could use his spiritual power to suppress his inner demons. He was glad that Su Yun had coincidentally returned to the Dragon Brigade. Perhaps this was the fate of fate. No matter what, Su Yun was destined to be the leader of this team. Of course, Su Yun didn't return to the Dragon Brigade. He and Lin Ge didn't sleep the whole night. When they returned to Panjiayuan, they found Ma San'er sleeping like a dead pig on the second floor of the shop. Su Yun kicked the bed 3 times, but Ma San'er didn't react at all. He was still sleeping like a dead pig. There was a saying that you could never wake up a person who was pretending to be asleep. Forget it, he's not awake anyway. I heard that the most expensive breakfast in Yanjing is Yangji's mutton soup, mutton buns, mutton fried dumplings, and so on. They're all made from little Qingshan lamb meat. Su Yun coughed and said to Lin Ge. Lin Ge nodded. Yes, I've heard about it as well. Even the location of the shop is a prime location. One bowl of mutton soup costs 380 renminbi. According to rumors, the soup stock is the mutton soup that was made for the emperor during the Qing dynasty. After so many years, the popularity of the shop has never died down. This mutton soup is definitely an intangible cultural heritage. I must try it. Okay, let's go then. Anyway, Ma San'er isn't awake. He's sleeping too soundly. Let's not wake him up. Su Yun said. Ma San'er suddenly turned over and struggled to stretch. Aya, what are you yelling about so early in the morning? Can't you let me sleep? Sai, forget it. I understand. You've been busy the whole night, right? Are you tired? That. Where are you going? If there's anything I can help with, just tell me. While they were talking, Ma San'er had already put on his clothes. He was pretending to be asleep on the bed, so he heard everything that Su Yun and Lin Ge said. Ma San'er, not bad. Your spiritual awareness is so high. Su Yun sighed. Of course. Ma San'er was already full of energy, and was waiting to taste the 380 yuan mutton soup. You've been tired the whole night. I should do something that I can. Although Ma San'er said that, he was thinking in his heart. Let's go quickly. I'm starving to death. Lin Ge laughed and lay on the bed. Aya, then we can rest. Ma San'er, you're a good brother. You really take care of us. Su Yun. We're really tired. Let's rest for a while. You go to Yangji's mutton soup shop and buy us 2 mutton soups. In addition, 10 mutton buns and 2 caddies of mutton fried dumplings. Lin Ge added and closed his eyes to sleep. Ma San'er opened his mouth wide. Damn, I've been tricked. Damn. You're just drawing a trap for me to fall into. Sai, in this society, you can't judge a book by its cover. Ma San'er was speechless. Sai, I've really sinned in my previous life. I'm so unlucky in this life. Chapter 1053. Although Ma San'er liked to be wishy-washy when doing things, he was still very considerate of other people's feelings. Judging from the state of Su Yun and Lin Ge when they returned to Pan Garden, Ma San'er knew that they must have been in a state of high tension the whole night. Compared to the mutton soup, they needed more rest. Therefore, after Ma San'er arrived, he first drank a bowl of mutton soup worth 380 yuan, and ate 2 mutton buns. Looking at the time, he was prepared to give Su Yun and Lin Ge at least 3 hours of rest. This mutton soup was more suitable for them to eat for lunch than for breakfast. Ma Saner was kind enough to give Su Yun and Lin Gu 3 hours of rest, but this time was ruined by an uninvited guest. At 10 o'clock in the morning, there were very few customers in Pan Garden. In fact, it could be said that Pan Garden was only lively 1 day a week in the morning. Usually, it was quite deserted. People who knew the rules wouldn't appear in Panjiayuan at this time. People who appeared in Panjiayuan at this time were definitely rookies. They would be easily killed. Therefore, rookies wouldn't appear at this time if they knew about this. A silver lake blue Bentley Luo coupe was parked directly in front of Pan Garden Z Ma San Air's shop. A woman got out of the car. She was cold, arrogant, and beautiful. Although her sunglasses covered most of her face, it could not hide her soul-stirring aura. However, from her long hair, it could be recognized that this woman was the woman who had appeared in the Pan Garden that night wearing a gold and jade dress. The only difference was that she came in a custom-made Bentley Mulsanne that was worth nearly 10 million yuan that day. Today, she came in a Bentley Continental Coupe. Obviously, this was a hardcore Bentley fan. To be so attached to this brand, no matter if she was a local tycoon or a foreign tycoon, she was still a tycoon. Who wouldn't fall in love with this brand if they weren't tycoon? 4i Mercedes-Benz had been obsolete for many years. This Bentley was still in use. If it was Mulsanne and Gallup, which were business-oriented, they would have used 4-eyed lights. The designer felt that it would be more domineering. But you Luo have a small convertible with 2 doors and 4 lights. Isn't the designer too lazy? There's no need for the Japanese and Korean brands to follow the lead of their cliched front lines. You high-end brands should also follow suit, right? Do you know why Phaeton is such a good car, but its sales are so poor? It's because it's owned by a family. What's the difference between it and a Passat and a Magenta? Whoever bought a Phaeton would often be pointed at by passers-by and said, "Damn, this idiot actually bought this obsolete Passat." But no matter what, a Bentley was a Bentley after all, a symbol of the status of a nouveau riche. Therefore, when the doorbell rang, Su-Yun got up and turned on the surveillance camera at the door. When he saw the beautiful woman in the luxury car at the door, he didn't feel sleepy at all. The door to the shop opened. Su-Yun looked at the expressionless woman at the door and quickly recognized her. This was the person who wanted to sell the national treasure, the golden jade garment. "Oh, it's you. Why? Don't tell me you're going to sell that treasure here? I won't accept it before I figure out whether it's real or fake." The woman interrupted Su-Yun. "Where's Ma Saner?" "No." Su-Yun was about to deny it, but then he thought about it and said, "Isn't he right in front of you? I don't care if you're Ma Saner's friend or Ma Saner's assistant. I'm not in the mood to joke with you," the woman said as she walked into the shop. "I have something to say." Su-Yun didn't chase her away. "Say it." "I'll pass on the message to Ma Saner." "Where did he go?" "I don't know." "Su-Yun, look at my clothes. You should know that I just woke up." Su-Yun was only wearing a pair of large underpants, but his muscular body, which would make young girls scream, did not seem to attract the interest of the woman in front of him. "If Ma Saner is interested in the golden jade garment, I'm sure he'll help me contact the biggest buyer," the woman said. "I've heard about Ma Saner's nose. I heard that even if he's blindfolded, he can use his nose to tell whether an antique is real or fake." "That's true. His nose is better than a dog's." Su-Yun. "So, if your golden jade garment is a high-quality fake, then you should go to bed early. Otherwise, it'll be embarrassing if you get exposed." The woman took off her sunglasses and glared at Su-Yun. "Has anyone ever told you that your mouth is very annoying?" Su-Yun looked at the woman in front of him in surprise. She looked like she was in her late 20s with her sunglasses, but when she took off her sunglasses, she looked like a 17-year-old girl. Her skin was fair and rosy, and her eyes were so pure and clear. She gave off the feeling of a pure junior in the 4th year of university. "Little girl, has anyone ever told you that your face is very likable?" Su-Yun smiled. "The best in the world should be like that." "Frivolous. If you dare to call me little girl again, don't blame me for being rude to you." Su-Yun shrugged his shoulders. "The main thing is, I don't know your name. Let me introduce myself. I'm Su-Yun, Ma Saner's friend. Although I can't say that I'm an expert in antiques, I can still be considered an expert." Lin Gu, who heard Brother Yin talking to someone, also got up to take a look. In the end, he saw Brother Yin bragging to a beauty. He shook his head helplessly and went back upstairs to sleep. He only had his Fangya in his heart, and there was no room for other women. Moreover, he was really too sleepy right now. Yi Xiaobai, you're not lying to me, right? Why does this name sound so casual? Su Yin grinned. Yi Xiaobai rolled her eyes speechlessly. I think your name is casual. What right do you have to criticize me? All right, little girl. I'm a grown man, so I don't want to argue with you. Su Yin. There's just one thing I don't understand. You're so young. How can you have something like the gold-threaded jade garment? Moreover, each of your cars is very expensive. Looking at your age, it seems a little. Don't beat around the bush. If you have something to say, just say it. Yi Xiaobai said. As for why the gold-threaded jade garment is in my hands, I'm afraid there's no need for me to tell you. Su Yin nodded. Then forgive me for speaking bluntly. This gold-threaded jade garment and luxury car, do they all belong to your godfather? Yi Xiaobai's face sank. What did a godfather represent these days? The word godfather had long been slandered by people like Guamimi to the point that it couldn't be used anymore. What do you mean? Yi Xiaobai was quite bothered by Su Yun's bluntness. She couldn't stand being seen as a dirty woman who used her body to exchange for material things. From Yi Xiaobai's greatly changed expression, Su Yun also realized that he had misjudged. I don't mean anything else, I'm just joking. But I really don't know how to believe it. You're so young, so how could you have accumulated such a large amount of wealth? Moreover, something like the gold-threaded jade garment, if it's real, it would definitely require a large amount of manpower and financial resources to bring it up from underground, right? Chapter 1054. After Yi Xiaobai said that, her phone suddenly rang. She quickly turned around to answer the call, and walked out while listening to the call. Su Yun's ears were good, and he heard the opening sentence on the other side of the phone. However, after Yi Xiaobai walked out of the shop, Su Yun could no longer hear the voice on the other side of the phone. He only heard Yi Xiaobai say. The phone call lasted at most half a minute. Yi Xiaobai hung up the phone, and prepared to get into the car. Su Yun, who was walking out of the shop with her, smiled and said to her, Bai Xiaoya hihi. I knew that Yi Xiaobai sounded a bit too casual. Bai Xiaoya sounds better. If you want to make up a fake name in the future, it's best to make up a name that has nothing to do with your real name. Bai Xiaoya's eyes widened. She had no idea how Su Yun knew that she deliberately lied about her name. It was very simple. Su Yun's ears were very good. The moment Bai Xiaoya picked up the phone, Su Yun heard a woman's voice on the other side of the phone calling her Bai Xiaoya. How did you know that I was lying to you? Bai Xiaoya was really shocked. How did you know my real name? Is it that important? Su Yun. If you must ask me, then I won't hide it from you. In our line of work, it's hard to survive if you don't know how to recognize people. Xiaozhen, I'm talking nonsense. Bai Xiaoya snorted. Su, I'm giving you face today because you're friends with Ma San'er. Otherwise, I'll definitely teach you a lesson. Don't forget what I told you to tell Ma San'er. If you want to see the golden jade dress without any obstruction, then don't be late for the 8 o'clock appointment at the Blue Seal Club. Su Yun wanted to say something more, but Bai Xiaoya had already gotten into the car and slammed the door. She didn't give Su Yun any chance to explain. She stepped on the accelerator, and the expensive Bentley sped away from Panjiayuan. Su Yun didn't even know where the Blue Seal Association was. To be honest, Su Yun was all too familiar with Yanjing City. It could even be said that there was no place that he didn't know. However, this Blue Seal Club was something that Su Yun couldn't figure out. Where exactly was it? Lin Ge was still snoring loudly in his sleep. Su Yun was lying on the bed, unable to fall asleep. The image of the golden jade robe once again appeared in front of his eyes. If he didn't get to the bottom of this, Su Yun wouldn't be able to live with himself. The other party had actually personally come to look for Ma San'er, and even knew that Ma San'er had a yin-yang nose that could detect the smell of death on unearthed treasures. Not simple, definitely not simple. Bai Xiaoya was just a girl, so she probably didn't have this ability. Thinking up to here, Su Yun quickly dialed Ma San'er's number. Ma Sanner was still thinking about letting Su Yun and the others sleep a little longer. Seeing that they were awake, he decisively bought some mutton soup and mutton buns and rushed back to Panjiayuan. Ma Sanner's righteous actions immediately gained the approval of Su Yun and Lin Gu. The two of them were full of praise for Ma Sanner as they ate. They called him brother and third brother, more affectionately than anyone else. After drinking the warm mutton soup, Su Yun felt comfortable and sweaty. Young people nowadays didn't like sweating. They didn't know that sweating was a very good way to maintain one's health. Why did you call me back in such a hurry? Ma Sanner had been waiting for Su Yun to talk business, but Su Yun seemed to have forgotten all about it while eating. Now that he saw Su Yun put down his empty bowl, he couldn't help but ask. Su Yun nodded and said, "That woman came to look for you." Woman? Ma Sanner was stunned. He was a single man, and the women who came to look for him were all women who wanted to trouble him or ask for money after a night of passion with him. Why did she come? About the jade dress, Su Yun said. Ma Sanner's face froze. After all this time, he didn't get into trouble. About the jade dress? Don't tell me. That woman came to look for me that day? Ma Sanner was a little surprised himself. It seems that I, Ma Sanner, have quite a good reputation. She came to invite me to see the jade dress? She said invite, but I have some doubts about something. Su Yun. I suspect that they don't even know whether the jade dress is real or not. So they asked the experts in Pan Garden to do a free appraisal. To be honest, those who know the business know that many experts are **T. They're not as knowledgeable as you guys who have actually gone to the cemetery and seen Zhongzi. Ma Sanner rolled his eyes at Su Yun. Brother Yun, don't talk nonsense. Grave robbing is a crime. I've never done anything that impairs good karma. I think you've read too many novels. Don't be modest in front of me. You know very well whether you've done it or not. Su Yun. Meet at the Blue Seal Club at 8 o'clock tonight. Someone will arrange for you to see the jade dress. That's what she said. Ma Sanner nodded. That's all? Of course there's more. She said that only you are allowed to show up, and no one else is allowed, Su Yun said. Ma Sanner smiled embarrassedly and nodded. Then I'm sorry, Brother Yin. I'm afraid I'll have to go alone. Su Yun also smiled embarrassedly. That's what you think, and that's what she thinks, but I don't think so. You can't go alone. If you don't bring me, then neither of us will go. Let's see if we need to see the jade dress, or if they need your nose. Ah, Ma Sanner stared at Su Yun. What was Su Yun up to now? Brother, my dear brother, don't make trouble for me. You have nothing else to do, so go ahead. I really don't need your help here. Either the two of us go together, or neither of us go. Su Yun. It's useless no matter what you say, and it's useless no matter what they say. If you don't bring me, you won't be able to go. Me too. Lin Gu also took the opportunity to say. Ma Sanner almost cried. You two are my ancestors. I can't even bring one of you, let alone both of you. This is absolutely impossible. Please spare me. Su Yun looked at Lin Gu. Pigeon, I'm afraid you'll have to stay behind to help Ma Sanner look after the shop this time. Lin Gu was quite disappointed when he heard that, but he didn't say anything. This was probably too difficult for Ma Sanner. Ma Sanner, I don't believe you can't do it if you only bring me. Su Yun. If I'm not wrong, they just need your nose to confirm something. They don't really plan to deal with the jade dress. If you trust me, you'd better bring me along. Ma Sanner said with a bitter face. What if I insist and they don't agree and won't let me go? Then you won't go, Su Yun. But I really want to know if the jade dress is real or fake. Ma Sanner said anxiously. They definitely want to know too. Su Yun. Believe me, as long as you ask to bring me along, if they still agree, it means that they really don't know if the jade dress is real or fake. Think about it, isn't this the truth? Ma Sanner rubbed his chin. He had to admit that this was the truth. Su Yun's words made sense. If they still agreed to his conditions that they didn't want, it meant that they needed him too much. Ma Sanner knew himself well. The most valuable thing on him, and the thing that he wanted the most, was his special sense of smell. Chapter 1055. Su Yun's guess was not without reason. It was very possible. This kind of thing was from the Western Han Dynasty, and had been buried in the underground palace for more than 2,000 years. How could it be so easy to get hold of it? The technology in today's society was so advanced that it was terrifying. What could not be faked? From human faces to human breasts, from gutter oil to fake eggs, as long as it was valuable, it would definitely be faked. Especially since there were many capable people in Huaxia. A considerable number of talented people did not use their brains on the right path, and spent all day thinking of ways to make money. The legal punishment in this area was not strict enough. Take gutter oil as an example. Although the Supreme People's Court, the Supreme People's Procuratorate, and the Ministry of Public Security had jointly issued a notice to severely punish the criminal activities of gutter oil according to the law and to protect the health and safety of the people. Criminals who caused gutter oil deaths could even be sentenced to death. But who had heard of a death sentence for producing gutter oil? Although this law must have been set by many capable people racking their brains and weighing the pros and cons, Su Yun still felt that it was a little lacking. Just directly set a rule that as long as they were caught, regardless of whether it was the boss or the worker, they would all be sentenced to death. Let's see who would dare to cheat money from the food that the people ate. Of course, if Su Yun were to voice out his thoughts, there would definitely be a lot of people who would say that they do not care about human rights. The Americans and people who were in favor of the United States would start talking about how the United States cared about human rights, and they would start berating China. Huaxia had the death penalty. This was decided by the national conditions. What was human rights? In the eyes of Americans, there would always be a group of people who would stand up to oppose the death penalty, even if the death penalty convict assassinated the president. So, would Huaxia people follow suit? Of course not. Under what circumstances was America's human rights established? Americans all had guns in their hands. If you dared to trespass into their house, they had the right to shoot you to death. If you fed them gutter oil, then they had the right to shoot you to death. That's why the situation in China is different. If China does the same thing, then there is no need to punish the people who produce the gutter oil. This is because their actions of endangering other people's lives can be used as self-defense to shoot them down. Every country had its own system. So, it was still the same sentence. Why didn't they sentence someone to death for doing such immoral things? He used the money he earned from endangering other people's lives to drive a luxury car, live in a villa, and let his wife and children emigrate abroad to live a life of luxury. He could even raise a beautiful mistress. This kind of person deserved to die. Su Yun shook his head. He was thinking too far ahead and had gone off topic. There were too many people who faked the jade dress. Whether it was real or fake, he trusted Ma Sanner's nose more. There was no reason for this belief. Some people were just trustworthy. Even if they usually found you troublesome and were always hesitant to do something, they were still reliable. Obviously Ma San was this kind of wishy-washy and reliable young man. This kind of person was better than those who talked a lot, but didn't do things in a reliable way. At night, before the sky turned dark, Ma Sanner was already rubbing his hands together. A national treasure like the jade dress was definitely something that people in his line of work wanted to see with their own eyes. Of course, Ma Sanner and Su Yun both understood one thing. If a woman who was just running errands could drive a Bentley around the streets, then the real boss behind the scenes must be extremely powerful. Although they didn't dare to say that the mysterious boss behind the scenes could cover the sky with one hand, at least he must be a rich man. The jade dress was worth 2 to 3 billion. In the eyes of ordinary people, it was definitely a huge sum that they couldn't even imagine. But in the eyes of this kind of person, it was definitely not lacking. Brother Yin, I suddenly thought of something. Ma Sanner dressed up like a dog. He was always wearing underpants and sweatshirts, but he was actually wearing a suit today. He only lacked a tie to strangle his neck. What kind of place is the Blue Seal Club? I have never heard of it. You must have heard of it, right? Then drive me there. Su Yun glanced at Ma Sanner. Ma Sanner, you can't be stingy about such a small amount of gas money, right? You don't know where the Blue Seal Club is? Then why didn't you say anything when I told you about it at noon? I thought that the place they were talking about was a place that all of you insiders know about. Don't joke with me. Is there a place in Yanjing City that you, Su-yin, don't know about? Brother Yin, let's not joke around. There are less than 2 hours until the appointed time. It's rush hour now. Let's go early, Ma Sanner said. Don't think of me as such a stingy person. Do I look like someone who cares about gas money? But my car is indeed out of gas. I'll drive yours. F***ck. Su-yin was really speechless. Ma Sanner, seriously, you really don't know where it is? I don't know. Ma Sanner nodded seriously. If I lie to you, I'm your grandson. Su-yin was stunned. Ma Sanner really wasn't joking with him. Then I don't know either. If I lie to you, I'm your grandson. The two instantly became silent. The air was so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. Lin Gu was speechless. You guys trust each other too much, right? Why didn't anyone say that they didn't know about the Blue Seal Club? Don't look at me. I don't know. Also, you guys didn't bring me there. I can't do anything. I'm an outsider. I'm not familiar with the place. Brother Yin, when that woman told you about the Blue Seal Club, you clearly didn't know where it was. Why didn't you ask where it was? Ma Sanner shook his head helplessly with a bitter expression. Su-yin also wanted to ask, but Bai Xiaoya didn't give him a chance. She slammed the car door and left. He didn't have a chance to ask her. Ma Sanner, you're a know-it-all. How can you not know such a small thing? Do you even deserve this title? You're really embarrassing yourself and your master. I, Ma Sanner, have been in Yanjing for so many years. This is the first time I've heard of the Blue Seal Club. Ma Sanner scratched his head. No, he had to get to the bottom of this. He had to use all his connections to find out about this place. He couldn't let go of any clues. He didn't believe that he, Ma Sanner, wouldn't be able to find such a small club. Su-yin still believed in Ma Sanner's abilities. However, after half an hour, Ma Sanner still didn't get any useful information. Everyone told him that they had never heard of the Blue Seal Club. Brother Yin, I'll bet my head on it. If there's a Blue Seal Club in Yanjing, I'll cut my head off and give it to you. Ma Sanner said. That woman must be messing with you. F***ck. Su-yin also realized that he might have been tricked. This Bai Xiaoya, I really couldn't tell. She has too many tricks up her sleeves. She must have graduated from the Beijing Film Academy. Her acting is too good. That expression and that look in her eyes. She doesn't look like a swindler at all. Damn it. Sigh. Ma Sanner sighed and unbuttoned his shirt. He had dressed up for nothing. Just when the two of them were about to give up, the silver lake blue Bentley appeared in front of Ma Sanner's shop again without any warning. The hood of the car was open. Bai Xiaoya sat in the driver's seat and glanced into the shop. Su-yin and Ma Sanner's eyes widened. Chapter 1056. Are you messing with my brother? Lin Gu walked out unhappily and said to Bai Xiaoya, who was in the driver's seat, my brother doesn't want to lower himself to a woman's level, but I don't know how to be gentle with a woman. What do you mean? You're talking about a place that doesn't even exist. Do you really think we care about your stupid jade dress? Bai Xiaoya glared at Lin Gu. So what if you don't know how to be gentle with a woman? I don't believe that a man like you would touch a girl like me. Try it. I'll sit here and wait for you. Let's see what you can do to me. Lin Gu really couldn't do anything to a girl. He thought about threatening her to keep up appearances, but he didn't know what to say. Bai Xiaoya, if there's no Blue Seal Club and you don't intend to take us to see the jade dress, then you win. I've been fooled and I admit defeat. Su-yin, but if you think you've fooled us once and still want to take us to see the jade dress, then you've fooled yourself. Bai Xiaoya looked at Su-yin with disdain. First of all, I never said I'd take you to see the jade dress. I'm here for Ma Sanner, and it has nothing to do with you. So what if I'm fooling you? If you dare to do anything to me, I'll call the police immediately. I want to see what the police can find when they come here. Ma Sanner was speechless. He looked at the girl, and then at Su-yin. It seemed like Bai Xiaoya came prepared. He really didn't know what kind of argument she had with Su-yin. Then you should ask whether Ma Sanner will go with you or not. Su-yin smiled slightly. He still had this bit of confidence. Bai Xiaoya looked at Ma San and said, Ma San, you really have a lot of face. If you count the other night when I brought the jade dress to the Pan Garden, then this morning and now, this is the third time I've come here. This can be considered as 3 visits to the thatched cottage. Isn't that sincere enough? Get in the car. I'll take you to see the real jade dress. This. Ma San was stunned for a moment. He scratched the back of his head and said, I do want the jade dress. Ma San, what do you mean? Lin Ge stared. Su Yin raised his hand to signal that there was no need for Lin Ge to interrupt. He believed that Ma San knew what to do. Sure enough, Ma San's tone changed. However, no matter how rare the jade dress is, if you don't agree to let Brother Yin go with me, then how should I put it? If there's something good, we'll share it. My brother Yin is also an experienced person in this industry. He also wants to see it. I can't ignore him. Bai Xiaoya snorted. Ma San, don't tell me you think I haven't done the most basic research. You've always been alone. You don't even have a partner. Who are these 2 people? We don't dare to believe they're in this industry. Think carefully. I'm giving you face by personally coming to pick you up. If you don't go, then you won't have a share in the jade dress. I'll ask you once. You choose. First, get in the car and come with me. Second, stay with your brother. What a threat. For people in Ma San's industry, this kind of rare national treasure was something they dreamed of seeing. Who could resist this temptation? Su Yin smiled slightly and used his eyes to tell Ma San to trust him. If Ma San refused and the other party begged them to go, it meant that the jade dress authenticity had yet to be verified. If the other party really turned around and left, then it meant that they had made the wrong bet. Ma San gritted his teeth. Isn't it just a small matter? He believed that he still had to stay in Pan Garden for a few decades. Sooner or later, he would have the chance to see this kind of treasure again. Then forget it. You can go by yourself. Ma San waved his hand. Although the jade dress is good, it's still a dead object. Looking at a dead object is the same as choosing your brother. Do you still need to ask the answer? I'll definitely choose my brother. I, Ma San, am a righteous person. I'm famous around here. I can't ruin my reputation. Bai Xiaoya was so angry that she almost vomited blood. How can Ma San be like this? I'm only giving you one chance. Bai Xiaoya widened her eyes. What do you want? What do you want? Tell me. I don't want anything. I just want to bring a friend to help me see, Ma San said. You know this industry. An extra pair of eyes is an extra layer of insurance. If you really want to do business, I'll have to verify the item before I dare to help you. What if I get it wrong? It's worth billions. Bai Xiaoya was so angry that she couldn't say a word. This won't do. I can promise you anything else. Nothing else. Just this. Seeing Bai Xiaoya's reaction, Ma San quickly confirmed that Su Yun's guess was very likely. Either we go together, or I don't go. You can go. I hate people who are indecisive the most. Lin Ge almost couldn't hold back his laughter. Ma San was usually the most indecisive person. How dare he talk about others now? Bai Xiaoya couldn't accept this. Ma San already asked her to leave. This damn guy, how dare he treat me like this? However, her mission in Pan Garden this time was to bring Ma San back. If Ma San didn't go, she couldn't go back either. It was all because of this Su Yin. Bai Xiaoya glared at Su Yin, but Su Yin didn't have any intention of avoiding it. Instead, he looked back at her with a provocative gaze. This made Bai Xiaoya even angrier. However, she had no choice but to endure it. Okay. Bai Xiaoya suddenly changed her mind. I'll agree to let you bring someone with you. There's no problem now, right? Humph, get in the car quickly. I don't have so much time to waste on you. Ma San chuckled and grinned. There's no problem. There's no problem now. The problem is solved. Wait. Su Yin suddenly changed his mind. If you don't let me go, I won't go. If you let me go, I'll go. Who do you think you are? Who do you think I am? Someone who can come and go as you please? Bai Xiaoya, you think too highly of yourself. I, Su Yin, am not the kind of person who can be ordered around by others. Ma San smiled bitterly. It seemed that Brother Yun wouldn't get on this car until he conquered this girl. Bai Xiaoya was about to explode from anger because of Su Yun. What more do you want? I'm already like this. What more do you want? People nowadays are really insatiable. Greed is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Lin Ge also looked at Bai Xiaoya proudly and added fuel to the fire. Did you see that? What kind of status do you think my brother has? Do you think my brother wants to see your lousy jade clothes? Let me tell you, he doesn't want to. If he didn't want to, then why did he have to go with Ma Sander? Bai Xiaoya really wanted to question them, but it was obviously not good for her to fall out with them now. The current situation was that Ma Sander was shamelessly begging Su Yin to go with him. Miss Bai, I really don't know what to do, Ma Sander said. My brother Yin doesn't want to go, so I can't go either. Let me make it clear first. It's not that I don't want to go. I want to go too. Then go with me alone. Your feet are your own. Bai Xiaoya was at a loss for words. Ma Sander shrugged. They are on my legs, but if my brother Yin doesn't say anything, they won't move. Miss Yi, even if I beg you to do me a favor and ask my brother Yin to go with me, wouldn't everything be fine for us? Don't you think so? You can do it with just a few words, but you can also ruin it with just a few words. Chapter 1057. The furious Bai Xiaoya started the car again. From the looks of it, she was really going to step on the accelerator and treat Su Yun to a feast of exhaust gas. Ma Sander was also dumbfounded. If she really left, then he wouldn't be able to see the jade dress. In the end, he still lost the bet. Su Yun was still very calm. He didn't believe that Bai Xiaoya would really leave just like that. However, this time, things were really out of Su Yun's control. Bai Xiaoya really stepped on the accelerator. A supercar was indeed a supercar. With a loud roar, Su Yun only felt the exhaust gas blowing in his face. Then, Bai Xiaoya had already driven away from Panjiayuan at lightning speed. Other than the blurry taillights and the faint smell of exhaust gas, there was nothing left. This gamble was a complete and utter loss. Su Yun didn't understand. Could it be that the other party wasn't as he guessed? Then why was his intuition so resolutely telling him that he was absolutely not mistaken? Yes, even if Bai Xiaoya left, Su Yun still believed that his judgment wasn't wrong. From the moment Bai Xiaoya started to tolerate him going with Ma Sander, it meant that Su Yun's guess was absolutely correct. But this Bai Xiaoya was too awesome, right? She left just like that. Her reaction was completely out of Su Yun's control. Big brother Yin, what are you going to do? Aren't you confident? This girl's temper is too bad. She turned hostile at the slightest disagreement. She left just like that. The stars in the sky are pointing at the Big Dipper. Ma Sander couldn't help but complain. If Su Yun didn't do this, at least he would be able to see the jade dress and smell if there was the scent of the ancient tomb of the Western Han Dynasty on it. But now, there was nothing left. It was impossible for him, Ma Sander, to have the opportunity to see the golden jade dress again. This matter was over forever. There was no chance at all. Brother, we've really gone overboard this time, haven't we? Lin Ge stuck out his tongue. Now we've lost all clues about the golden jade dress. Su Yun also had a headache. He looked at Ma Sander and didn't know what to say. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have provoked Bai Xiaoya. That little girl really didn't have the ability to resist pressure. She was easily defeated with just a few words. Wait. Su Yun thought about it again. Bai Xiaoya's decision to leave was her own subjective judgment. The boss behind her wouldn't think that way. Ma Sander, don't worry. She will definitely come back. Su Yun didn't know where his confidence came from. He actually dared to say such a thing. How could Ma Sander believe him? He waved his hand and shook his head helplessly. Come on, brother Yin, you don't have to comfort me. I, Ma Sander, am not someone who doesn't know how to handle things. I'm anxious because of you. I know that we have different thoughts. Compared to me, your thoughts are broader. Su Yun looked at Ma Sander and said, Ma Sander, actually you're the one who's broad-minded and loving. What I do is more for the country. I don't have such high ideological awareness like you. I only know that without the country, we wouldn't have the stable life we have now. You know a thing or two about why I sell these things dug out from the hands of the dead. All these years, other than this pretentious little sports car that someone gave me as payment for 100,000 yuan, I haven't spent a single cent on myself. You know, if I get the golden jade dress, a 10% commission would be at least 200 to 300 million yuan. Ma San'er got a little emotional. How many Hope primary schools can be built with 200 to 300 million yuan? I can even build Hope University. When the time comes, I'll provide compulsory education for those poor children who go to school. Many people only saw Ma San'er on the surface. He liked to brag on normal days, drank at night, and flirted with girls. In this line of work, if anyone said that they had never cheated others, they would be hypocrites. Therefore, everything that Ma San'er did gave people the impression that he was an unreliable person. But in reality, the amount of money he earned every year in this line of work was definitely not something that ordinary workers could imagine. However, he couldn't even afford to buy a house in the 6th Ring Road. The amount of money he spent on Project Hope every year was enough to make any rich person feel so ashamed that they would stuff their head into their pants. He wasn't as high profile as Chen Biaoge, who would go to the media to publicize every little thing, saying how he had promoted Huaxia's public welfare. Ma San'er was just that obscure. He only contributed for one thing, and that was the education of his children. Education was the most basic thing in a strong country. For so many years, he just did it silently. He didn't tell anyone. If it wasn't for a coincidence, even Su Yun wouldn't know what he was doing. Why did Su Yun trust Ma San'er, who looked so unreliable? It was because Su Yun knew about Ma San'er's background. The number of poor children he had supported had probably exceeded 7 digits. This kind of hidden greatness was what truly shook people's hearts. I know. Su Yun nodded. Ma San'er raised his head and smiled. Of course, Brother Yun, I also understand you. You don't want the national treasure to go abroad. This is your duty. If I were Huaxia's soldier, I would have this duty too. What is protecting the country? It's not just protecting the country with the Japanese on the battlefield. Protecting the national treasure is also called protecting the country. After pausing for a while, Ma San'er continued, but now, you can't protect the country, and I don't have the chance to do this business that can make 2 to 300 million. You can forget about Hope Engineering University. These are all fated bets. Before Ma San'er could say the word fixed, he was stunned. His eyes widened as he stared at the dazzling headlights in the distance. A silvery blue figure rushed to the entrance of Ma San'er's shop like lightning. Bai Xiaoya actually drove her luxury sports car back. Ma San'er was dumbfounded. He thought to himself, is Su Yun's mouth blessed? What the F***ck, he said Bai Xiaoya would definitely come back, and she really came back. This is even more awesome than Guanyin Bodhisattva. Lin Go also opened his mouth wide and was speechless. Other than admiring Su Yun, he really couldn't think of anything else to do. Phew. Su Yun finally let out a sigh of relief. Although his intuition told him that Bai Xiaoya would definitely come back, Su Yun could only relax when she really came back and appeared in front of them. As long as Bai Xiaoya came back, the jade dress wouldn't be able to escape. Bai Xiaoya mustered up her courage several times before getting out of the car. She walked in front of Su Yun and said, "What do you want me to do for you to come with me with Ma San'er? If you have any requests, just say it. I'll listen to you." Although she was very unwilling, Bai Xiaoya tried her best to hide her unwillingness. It was as if she wanted Su Yun to feel that she was very sincere. "Oh, Miss Bai, I'm really not used to you being like this," Su Yun said. "You should just put your hands on your waist and shout at me. I don't know how to deal with such a gentle and elegant person." "It was all my fault. I apologize for everything I've done," Bai Xiaoya said. "I only hope that Mr. Su and Ma San'er can come with me to see the jade dress." Ma San'er grinned. "This girl is really too much. Why does she have to call me Mr.? But I, Ma San'er, don't have the word Mr. behind my name. People these days are really. The more you treat them well, the more they respect you. The more amiable you are, the less they treat you as a dish." Bai Xiaoya's 180-degree change in attitude made it difficult for Su Yun to adapt. Even if Su Yun wanted to continue messing with her and make her angry, he didn't know where to start. Chapter 1058. Bai Xiaoya wasn't joking when she left just now. She really didn't plan to come back, but a phone call calmed her down. Some things couldn't be avoided just because you didn't want to. If she didn't bring Ma San'er back today, her mission would be a complete failure. If she could fight, it would be much easier. And Bai Xiaoya wouldn't have to hide her strength. However, her master said that she absolutely couldn't fight with Ma San'er. If she broke his priceless nose, it wouldn't be worth it. Bai Xiaoya had no choice but to suppress the anger in her heart. She turned the car around and returned to Pan Garden. Today, no matter how much she pretended to be a coward, she had to invite Ma San'er back. As for Su Yun's debt, she would slowly settle it with him when she got back. Let's see if he still dares to be stubborn then. However, what surprised Bai Xiaoya was that Su Yun didn't make things difficult for her this time. He directly got into the car and sat in the front passenger seat. Fortunately, the back seat of this sports car could still fit people. Ma San'er simply did a high jump and directly lay down on the back seat. That was really comfortable. Lin Ge also wanted to go, but Su Yun had ordered him to. He could only suppress his curiosity and wave goodbye to everyone. Pan Garden's shop couldn't be empty, so Lin Ge could only stay in the shop to look after it. However, after what happened tonight, his opinion of Ma San'er had changed a lot. He also respected Ma San'er a lot. He didn't expect that Ma San'er, who looked so unreliable, was actually such a kind-hearted person. He actually did such a great thing. It really made Lin Ge sigh with admiration. Bai Xiaoya was naturally overjoyed that things were progressing so smoothly. Her cold temperament even seemed to soften a little. The sports car drove away, and the taillights disappeared into the night of Pan Garden again. Pan Garden quieted down once again. It was calm and tranquil, as if nothing had happened. Bai Xiaoya drove all the way south. Not long after, Su Yun and Ma San'er realized a problem. If they continued driving like this, they would probably be out of Yanjing City soon. Where are we going? Ma San'er furrowed his brows. They trusted Bai Xiaoya too much. In the movie A World Without Thieves, King Lu once said, "If you drive a good car, you can enter any place you want. Does that mean you're a good person?" Of course, there were definitely many good people who drove good cars. However, in this day and age, there were also quite a number of people who drove good cars who were not good people. Tianjing, Bai Xiaoya said. "Didn't I tell you? The Blue Seal Club." Su Yun was stunned. Was Bai Xiaoya not playing with him? However, I forgot to tell you that the Blue Seal Clubhouse is located at the border between Yanjing and Tianjing. But it's still within Tianjing's territory, Bai Xiaoya said. Ma San'er slapped his thigh. No wonder he couldn't find out about the Blue Seal Clubhouse in Yanjing City, no matter how hard he tried. However, this didn't make sense. Since it was located at the border between Yanjing and Tianjing, there should be many people in Yanjing who knew about it. How could he not have found out about it? Today is the opening day of the Blue Seal Clubhouse. You're the first batch of guests, Bai Xiaoya added. What? Damn it. Why didn't you leave a detailed address on the opening day of the clubhouse? No wonder Ma San'er, the all-knowing man in Jianghu, couldn't find the place. What a joke. If I remember correctly, you told us to arrive at 8, and there would be someone to pick us up. Su Yun looked at his watch. But it's already 8. I'm afraid we won't be able to make it in time. If we're late. Bai Xiaoya smiled. I didn't say that I would let you see the jade dress at 8. The person who will pick you up will just take you to rest and relax in the clubhouse. Su Yun and Ma San'er were at a loss as to what the other party was up to. Forget it. Since they were already at this point, they could only follow Bai Xiaoya. Only when they reached the Blue Seal Clubhouse could they truly understand what they were up to. When they arrived at Tianjing City, they took a detour for more than half an hour before they finally arrived at the Blue Seal Clubhouse that Bai Xiaoya mentioned. Su Yun and Ma San'er were shocked by the appearance of the clubhouse. This was too awesome. It was like an otherworldly palace. When they got out of the car and entered the clubhouse, there were even more beautiful women. It was like a fairyland. There was no way to describe this place with words. If they had to describe it, they could only say that the Blue Seal Clubhouse was definitely several streets ahead of heaven and earth. Just as Bai Xiaoya said, Su Yun and Ma San'er were definitely the first guests of this place. The clubhouse was so big. Other than them, everyone else was a service staff. Bai Xiaoya personally led them inside. Ma San'er smacked his lips and exclaimed, "Damn, so many beautiful women. Where did you get them? This is too unbelievable. It's too spectacular. If you like, just pick 2. They will definitely serve you well," Bai Xiaoya said. "You're welcome. Since you're here, you're the Blue Seal Clubhouse's VIP guests." "Then I won't be polite, haha." Ma San'er raised his eyebrows. This was like a pie falling from the sky. Bai Xiaoya looked away with a look of disdain. Men are all the same." "Bai Xiaoya, we're not here for entertainment," Su Yin said. "You know very well what we're here for. Where's the jade dress? If not, we'll take our leave first." "Damn, take our leave? How are we going to leave? Brother Yin, this is Tianjing. Are you going to take me back to Yinjing?" Ma San'er was dumbfounded. Su Yin glanced at him, and Ma San'er immediately shut up. The idea of finding a beautiful girl to take a bath and drink milk together was instantly swept away. "Mr. Su, since we're here, why are you still so polite?" Bai Xiaoya said. "Don't all men like this? The women here are all carefully selected. I don't believe that you don't like any of them. Haha. Why are you so nervous about the jade dress? You can appraise it after the full service. Really, I'm not joking. All fees will be waived." Such a good thing happened to me. I must have accumulated a lot of good karma in my previous life. Ma San'er muttered to himself. If it weren't for Su Yun, he would have already fallen for them. Since it was free, he dared to pick 7 women to do the full service with him to see if he was still the man who did it 7 times in one night. "I'm not joking with you either," Su Yun said. "If you don't take out the jade dress for us to see, we'll leave right now. We didn't come all this way just to have fun with you." Bai Xiaoya frowned. This was definitely the first man she had seen with such determination. He was actually unmoved by dozens of seductive women walking around him. Could he be Lu Xiaohui who transmigrated? Bai Xiaoya even felt that if she were a man, she wouldn't reject such a tempting offer. "It seems that I really have to look at you in a different light." Bai Xiaoya smiled. "Since you're not interested, follow me. Whether you want to experience the services of the Blue Seal Club or not, you're all here for the jade dress. Saving this step will make things easier for me. Cut the crap and get straight to the point." Su Yin was already on his guard against Bai Xiaoya. This woman was definitely a representative of someone who looked sweet, but had a vicious heart. He had to be on guard against whatever she wanted them to do. Chapter 1059. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that Bai Xiaoya was astonished by Su Yun's indifference. This man isn't simple. Bai Xiaoya frowned slightly. When she saw Su Yun in the Pan Garden this morning, she felt that he was quite frivolous. His personality changed a bit too quickly. "Mr. Su, have you heard of hypocrites?" "What do you mean?" Su Yun was startled. Bai Xiaoya's words were a bit strange. As they walked deeper into the Blue Seal Club, they chatted intermittently. Hypocrites are people who appear to be upright and noble, but are actually despicable and shameless. Mr. Jin Yong created a person called Yu Buchuan, who is a typical hypocrite. His words and actions are all decent and generous, and he always gives in. It's admirable. Who would have thought that such a perfect person is actually the most evil and greedy person? Bai Xiaoya said. Su Yun naturally sensed her insinuations. "So you're saying that I'm that kind of person?" No. I didn't mean that. I'm just saying that Mr. Su's words and actions are decent and generous. It's admirable," Bai Xiaoya said. "It's easy to recognize a true villain. They hide a knife behind a smile, and are always smiling. A hypocrite throws a brick to attract jade. Simply put, if you give him a brick, he will give you a piece of jade. If you give him a piece of jade, he will give you a brick. In essence, it's not in line with the etiquette of returning a favor. Hypocrites are used to praising others, and using praises to numb others. They then benefit from it. If they don't benefit from it, they're even more dangerous than a villain." "Miss Bai, I'm afraid you're overthinking." Su Yun shook his head helplessly. In the end, he was misunderstood as a villain. It wasn't that Su Yun didn't want to get close to women. But he knew when to be vigilant, and when to be aware of the dangers of lust. If he had fallen for the other party's group of beauties today, who knew what would happen next? Ma Sanner realized that something was amiss. He was just appreciating the jade dress. Was there a need to go through so much trouble? Bai Xiaoya didn't say anything else. She walked to the end of the corridor, and opened a secret door. Su Yun and Ma Sanner were immediately brought into another world. This was definitely a place that every collector would dream of obtaining. Ever since Su Yun walked into this room, he was shocked. The calligraphy and paintings hung on the wall, and the collection placed on the platform were dazzling. Ma Sanner's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. There was even Wang Shiji's rumored missing cursive script, which was worth hundreds of millions of yuan. Ma Sanner didn't just rely on his nose in this line of work. His eyes were also very good. Whether it was authentic or not, he could still be sure after careful inspection. Oh my God! Ma Sanner couldn't help but sigh. Even the treasures in the Qin Emperor's underground palace aren't as valuable as the treasures in this place. Bai Xiaoya clapped her hands lightly. It was unknown what mechanism she had triggered, but the jade dress rose from the ground. It was still inside the absolutely sealed bulletproof glass. Ma Sanner, since we're already here, I won't hide it from you, Bai Xiaoya said. I invited you here for another purpose. Ma Sanner waved his hand and said, I know. Didn't you ask me to come here, so that I can confirm whether this jade dress is real or not? I'm not a fool. My nose and Doggy Lou's remaining hand are the most reliable things in this business to distinguish authenticity. You must have investigated this matter. That's right. We did investigate it. Bai Xiaoya smiled. Otherwise, we wouldn't have invited you here. As she spoke, Bai Xiaoya pressed some mechanism, and the bulletproof glass covering the jade dress directly opened. This priceless national treasure was instantly exposed to the air. Ever since this thing came into our hands, we've been keeping it in this completely sealed space. I believe only you can smell things that ordinary people can't. Bai Xiaoya made an inviting gesture. Of course, Ma Sanner didn't need to lie down and sniff like a dog. The moment the glass cover opened, Ma Sanner already felt that this thing was extraordinary. This was something that he could only feel but not describe, so he couldn't describe it. Ma Sanner stood in front of the jade dress and carefully inspected every piece of jade and every strand of gold. This treasure even had a damp smell that came from being unearthed not long ago. The special smell that only ancient corpses had 2 years ago was also faintly discernible. This smell was really hard for ordinary people to detect. Even dogs and wolves with sharp noses would have a hard time detecting it. Think about it, what kind of people could afford to wear the jade dress when they were buried? They must have done a lot to prevent the smell of rotting corpses. Therefore, being able to distinguish this smell was Ma Sanner's unique skill. Mr. Ma Sanner, this jade dress. For the first time, Bai Xiaoya added the word Mr. behind Ma Sanner's name. Ma Sanner smiled. You must have asked Lu Goxing to appraise this thing, right? Why are you still looking for me? Bai Xiaoya frowned. South Goxing and North Masan were the two most authoritative people in this field. Although they didn't have the halo of professors and experts, those professors and experts were worthless compared to them. How can you be sure that we asked Lu Goxing to appraise it? Bai Xiaoya asked doubtfully. Ma Sanner chuckled. Because I smelled Lu Goxing's scent. The shock on Bai Xiaoya's face was no less than that of Columbus discovering the New World. This Ma Sanner is too amazing. They did ask Lu Goxing to appraise it a week ago. Lu Goxing must have said that this is authentic. You just need to get my confirmation. Ma Sanner said. You don't want to do business at all. You said that you could give me 300 million in commission if I sold it for 3 billion. You just want to see if I, Ma Sanner, will do something, right? I, Ma Sanner, never appraise things for people's collections. That's why you purposely put on such a big show to make me believe that you really want to sell it. Miss Bai, thank you for your hard work. Although she was exposed, Bai Xiaoya's expression didn't change. Mr. Ma Sanner, no matter what, since you're here today, you must give me an answer, right? Ma Sanner nodded. Of course. This jade dress is indeed unearthed from an ancient tomb in Xixia. You're really not simple. You even found a tomb in Shishya and brought out such a treasure in perfect condition. I admire you, I admire you. Thank you, Mr. Ma Saner, for your praise, Bai Xiaoya said. Since you've come all the way here, we must do our best as hosts. If you have any requests, feel free to tell us. As long as it's reasonable, we'll try our best to satisfy you. Ma Saner turned around and glanced at Su Yun. He didn't have any requests. Ma Saner didn't want to cause trouble for himself in front of such a rich family. However, Su Yun wouldn't be so easy to get rid of. He had come with him no matter what, which meant that Su Yun wouldn't let him off so easily. I don't have any requests. You can ask Brother Yin. Ma Saner waved his hand. Chapter 1060. I didn't intend to be polite with you. Now that you've said that, I won't treat myself as an outsider anymore. Su Yin smiled. Everything here is a peerless treasure. It's even more amazing than the collection of a national museum. How did you do it? Where did you get all these things? Su Yin, I'm afraid I don't have to answer this question. Bai Xiaoya sneered. I was polite to you before because Ma Saner is attached to you. Now you're worthless to me. I'm standing here talking to you because of Ma Saner. If you still don't know how to appreciate my kindness, then don't blame me for being impolite. As she spoke, Bai Xiaoya released all of her suppressed aura. Su Yin was slightly stunned. He didn't expect this girl to be so capable. Her aura was so strong that it was comparable to Lin Ji's. She was a super expert, an expert among experts. It turned out that she had been suppressing her strength all this time. Ma Saner's expression changed. This woman really hid her strength well. His weak martial arts were not worth mentioning in front of her. Fortunately, he brought Su Yin here. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died. Miss Bai, we have no enmity between us. Fighting is not the way to treat a guest. A guest has to follow the rules of a guest, Bai Xiaoya said. If Su Yin followed the rules of a guest, I would naturally treat him with respect. But since he didn't follow the rules first, then don't blame me for being impolite. The rules of the Blue Seal Association are the rules of the Blue Seal Club. If any Tom, Dick, or Harry can behave atrociously here, then people will think that I, Bai Xiaoya, am a pushover in the future. Su Yin had also been controlling his own aura all this time. This was something any super expert could do, not to mention Su Yin was already a powerful expert in the Grandmaster realm. His control over his aura was even more skillful. Even when Bai Xiaoya released her murderous aura, Su Yin still faced it calmly. I didn't expect Miss Bai to be an expert. Su Yin still maintained a smile on his face. But I'm afraid that's not enough to threaten me. If you don't make things clear today, then don't blame me for being the first person to break the rules of your Blue Seal Club. What arrogance! Bai Xiaoya scolded. This Su Yin really didn't know his place. Daring to say such words in the Blue Seal Society was simply courting death. If you really don't want to leave this place alive, then I'll fulfill your wish. Su Yin raised his eyebrows provocatively. If you have the confidence, then go ahead and try. At this point, Su Yin was still controlling the aura of his strength that he had yet to unleash. Ma Saner glanced at the two of them. If the two of them were to fight, it would be troublesome if they hurt an innocent person like him. He had better find a place to hide. However, there were national treasures everywhere. Where could he hide? Ma Saner would rather let them hurt him than let these national treasures be hurt. Wait! Ma Saner suddenly shouted. Miss Bai, look at these things around you. If any of them are damaged, then you'll be condemned for eternity. Even if you don't think for yourself, you should think for these treasures, right? If you really fight and these things are damaged, don't regret it. Bai Xiaoya sneered confidently. I'm afraid he doesn't have the ability to fight back. He doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Su Yin was provoked by Bai Xiaoya's mocking tone, but he didn't get angry. Ma Saner, don't worry. I know how big of a mistake it is to damage these things. Bai Xiaoya's strength isn't enough for me to take action. What did you say? Bai Xiaoya was enraged. She didn't feel any strength from Su Yin at all. In her eyes, Su Yin was just an ordinary person. An ordinary person dared to say that a super expert like her wasn't enough for him to take action? Was this a joke? Bai Xiaoya glared at Su Yun coldly. Frog at the bottom of a well. Just as she finished speaking, her aura condensed, and a boundless killing intent gathered. Su Yun's words seemed to have angered Bai Xiaoya. She didn't want to leave anyone alive. At the same time, a huge pressure suddenly erupted from Su Yun's body. The pressure that exceeded level 5 was like a gust of wind, and Bai Xiaoya, who was about to attack, was caught off guard. Someone who could use aura to pressure an expert had to be someone who had broken through the Grandmaster realm. Only those who were at least at the 4th level of the Grandmaster realm, or even higher, would be able to do that. Bai Xiaoya was completely shocked. The phrase frog at the bottom of the well sounded a little sarcastic. Compared to Su Yun, she was the frog at the bottom of the well right now. The biting cold aura made it hard for Bai Xiaoya to breathe. Although Su Yun had the ability to control his aura, it still affected Ma San'er. Ma San'er squatted on the ground and didn't even dare to breathe, let alone make a sound. If Su Yun didn't control his aura and force it on Bai Xiaoya, Ma San'er would have fainted from the pressure. Bai Xiaoya finally yielded under Su Yun's powerful aura. All of her aura retreated back into her body under Su Yun's powerful aura. Well done, Su Yun. Suddenly, a woman's voice came from the horizon. Su Yun frowned and quickly withdrew the pressure he was exerting on Bai Xiaoya. Bai Xiaoya could finally breathe. Su Yun didn't do anything just now, but she was already shocked to her core. The huge difference in strength between them made Bai Xiaoya realize that this man was someone she couldn't afford to offend. However, Bai Xiaoya would never yield to Su Yun because of this. There was always someone stronger. Although Su Yun was strong, he was still not her master's match. Who is it? Su Yun couldn't determine the person's location from the voice. Just this point alone was enough for Su Yun to be cautious. At least the other party's strength wasn't below his. Otherwise, he wouldn't be unable to tell where the other party was. Bai Xiaoya heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, her master was here. Otherwise, she really didn't know what to do. When Su Yun's aura dissipated, Ma San'er also heaved a sigh of relief. He didn't want to experience what happened just now again. If it happened again, he might really lose control of his bladder. Although it wasn't a big deal, it was too embarrassing. If word got out, he, Ma San'er, would lose face. Not to mention, there was a beauty like Bai Xiaoya present. The voice that seemed to come from the horizon disappeared in an instant. Just as Su Yun calmed down and was about to search for the aura, he was shocked and turned to look at the door. A figure that appeared out of nowhere made Su Yun's heart skip a beat. He hadn't felt this in a long time. This woman who suddenly appeared didn't conceal her powerful aura at all. Su Yun didn't even need to compare to her to admit defeat. This aura was far stronger than his. Even Captain Wan Guangxiao wouldn't have a chance to resist in front of her. Su Yun had never seen this kind of aura before. Although he had interacted with Huang Fugua, who was in the profound sky realm, Huang Fugua's aura was completely invisible. Therefore, Su Yun didn't have the chance to feel the supreme aura of a profound sky realm expert. Chapter 1061. Previously, Su Yun had called Bai Xiaoya a frog at the bottom of a well. Now, Su Yun felt that he had returned to his position. There were very few profound sky realm experts in this world. They were godlike experts. There were only 3 profound sky realm experts mentioned in the underground world. They were the 3 sovereigns. Su Yun had already met one of the 3 sovereigns, Huang Fugua. That old man, who had already washed his hands of worldly affairs, truly wanted to leave the underground world. As for the other sovereign, Mao Bo, it was rumored that his godfather, Zhang Taisui, had suffered internal injuries and died. The woman standing in front of Su Yun now had a terrifying aura. She was so powerful that he didn't dare to estimate her strength. She was probably Zuolingyue, the empress of the 3 sovereigns. However, Su Yun didn't dare to believe that the woman in front of him was Zuolingyue. Zuolingyue had been famous for nearly 20 years. Su Yun felt that she should be at least 40 or 50 years old. Right? The woman in front of him looked like she wasn't even 30 years old. She gave off the feeling of a young married woman. Her temperament wasn't any weaker than Bai Xiaoya, who was 10 years younger than her. Moreover, her appearance was so stunning that it wasn't an exaggeration to say that she was devastatingly beautiful. This woman was definitely one of the most elegant women Su Yun had ever seen. If she were to be compared to Sister Shuang and the others, she was more mature. However, her appearance, figure, skin, and temperament weren't inferior to any of them. She was definitely one of the best in the world. Master. Bai Xiaoya called out respectfully. The respect she had for this woman came from the bottom of her heart. Su Yun, Captain Yanlong of the Dragon Fury team under Wan Guangxiao of the Dragon Brigade. Am I right? The woman with terrifying strength smiled and asked Su Yun. Su Yun was completely shocked. How did you know? If the other party was Empress Zuolingyue, why would she care about a nobody like him? These were all questions that Su Yun couldn't figure out. However, facing this woman's powerful aura, Su Yun really didn't know how to forcefully question her. Too big of a gap in strength would bring about an invisible psychological pressure, which was unavoidable for anyone. Even if Su Yun had no fear in his heart, there was still an invisible reverence in the depths of his heart. This was something that could not be avoided. You're really curious. Haven't you heard of the saying, the more you know, the less safe you'll be? But it seems like you know a lot of things as well, Su Yun replied with a question. Everyone is different. Ha 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 ha, little brat, you're exactly the same as a certain someone. How dare you ask me such a question? Aren't you afraid that I'll fall out with you? Su Yun didn't avoid her questioning eyes. You are. Zuolingyue? Little brat. At your age you should call me Aunt Sua. That's right. This woman who had such a powerful aura that even Su Yun didn't dare to act rashly was the only woman among the 3 emperors in the legends. She was called Empress Zuolingyue by the people in the underground world. What the heck? Ma San'er's expression was definitely more shocked than when he first saw the golden jade dress. Empress Zuolingyue. There were too many rumors about her in the underground world, but those who had actually seen her were probably as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. It was unknown who said that all men who had seen Empress Zuolingyue would end up dead, and all women would become her subordinates. Ma San'er thought about those women he saw just now. They probably weren't ordinary ladies, but Zuolingyue's subordinates. Oh my god, luckily Su Yun came along. Otherwise, if Ma San'er touched Empress Zuolingyue's women, he would probably die without a burial ground. Auntie Zua, she thought. That's right. However, Zuolingyue looked too young. She was so young that Su Yun couldn't bring himself to call her that. Ma San'er immediately flattered. Aunt Sua, I, Ma San'er, have long heard of your great name. After meeting you today, you are indeed extraordinary. You are a magnanimous person. Please forgive us for our wrongdoings. We definitely wouldn't dare to be disrespectful to you. Zuolingyue smiled faintly and said to Ma San'er, Ma San'er, you don't have to be so polite. You helped me verify the authenticity of this golden jade dress, so I should be the one thanking you. Do you have anything you like in here? You can choose them yourself. I can give them to you as a thank you gift. Which one of the items in here wasn't a rare treasure that was worth hundreds of millions of yuan? When Ma San'er heard this, his eyes widened. Aunt Sua was too generous. Even if Ma San'er had to call her aunt, he would be willing to do so. Just when Ma San'er couldn't resist this temptation, Su Yun looked over with a piercingly cold gaze. Ma San'er instantly calmed down and shook his head like a rattledrum. No, no, no. Ma San'er is Ma San'er's honor to be able to do something for Aunt Sua. How can I have the nerve to ask for a thank you gift? I have already been rude by not bringing anything to see you. When Ma San'er's mouth was sweet, it was really unbearable. Zuolingyue was amused by Ma San'er's words and laughed beautifully. Su Yun couldn't see through this stunning woman whose age couldn't be determined. After laughing, Zuolingyue said indifferently, Goxing in the south, Ma San'er in the north. Previously, I went to look for Lu Goxing and he told me that this golden jade dress was definitely authentic. I asked him to pick anything as a thank you gift. I didn't expect him to want my favorite painting, Rich Autumn Mountain Residence. Moreover, he wanted my Xiaoya to be his wife. Ma San'er's mouth was wide open. This Lu Goxing was too picky, right? That painting of Rich Autumn Mountain Residence was definitely priceless. He even wanted to bring back such a beautiful wife like Bai Xiaoya. TSK. What an exorbitant demand. If Ma San'er had a choice, he would choose either of the two. Wait a minute. Ma Sanner was startled. Since Lu Goxing wanted the painting of rich autumn mountain residents, and Bai Xiaoye. Why was Bai Xiaoye present, and why was the painting of rich autumn mountain residents hung on the wall? I felt that he was too greedy, so I taught him a lesson. Although Zhuo Lingyue was joking, Ma Sanner couldn't laugh. Zhuo Lingyue spoke as if she was talking about a very ordinary matter. I chopped off his insatiable right hand that could take out any antique, and sent him back to Jiangnan. From now on, there will only be you, Ma Sanner in the north in this business. Goxing in the south will no longer need to rely on this business for a living. Thump, thump, thump. Ma Sanner's heart was beating very fast. If he, Ma Sanner, was really greedy and asked for something, would his nose be dug out as well? Just thinking about it made him sweat profusely. Ma Sanner wasn't sure if Zhuo Lingyue was a cultured and refined person or a vicious person. However, Su Yun's thoughts had already flown elsewhere. Because a few days ago, when he went to see Chu Zigua unintentionally said that only Zhuo Lingyue knew the whereabouts of his father. And now Zhuo Lingyue could easily see through Su Yun's identity. It seemed like Chu Zigua's words were not groundless. Chapter 1062. Auntie Zhua is wise and powerful. You should teach that greedy guy Dog Lu a good lesson. Ma Sanner flattered. If I were here, I would definitely give him 2 more slaps. It's Dog Lu's good fortune to work for Auntie Zhua. How dare he put forward a condition? How dare he? Dog Lu's experience was absolutely miserable. He relied on his right hand to make a living. Zhuo Lingyue was really ruthless. She directly cut off Dog Lu's remaining way of living. However, speaking of which, this pitiful person must have some hateful aspects. This saying was not false at all. In the beginning, Ma Sanner felt a little pity. After all, Dog Lu was as famous as him. They more or less sympathized with each other. But when he thought carefully about what Dog Lu had done, he really deserved to be chopped off by Zhuo Lingyue. Dog Lu's real name was Lu Gosheng. It was said that he took the surname of his parents, Lu Go and Sheng. But this homonym was changed to Dog Lu. Over time, people got used to calling him Dog Lu. Lu Gosheng didn't care about how people addressed him. Even if others called him Lu Gosheng, he would just treat it as Lu Gosheng. He was different from Ma Sanner. As the 2 most proficient people in the antique business in the underground world, they naturally made a lot of money. Most of the money Ma Sanner made was meaningful. If Brother Lei knew what Ma Sanner had done, he would probably change the slogan of Learn from Lei Feng's good example to Learn from Ma Sanner's good example. However, Dog Lu was not the same. He spent all the money he earned on eating, drinking, gambling, and drugs. When it came to eating, there was nothing in the world that Dog Lu had not tasted before, be it flying in the sky, running on the ground, or swimming in the sea. When it came to drinking, he didn't care about any famous wine, water, or camel's milk. He was even more extravagant and directly looked for young women who were breastfeeding at a high price. He drank the freshest milk every day when he woke up in the morning and before he went to bed. Speaking of whoring, Dog Lu was even more incredible. He was already sick of Guangshen's Dongguan. Star Wars trapeze was nothing new to him. Japan's Osaka, South Korea's Seoul, Thailand's Bangkok, and other places were his choice for whoring. As for gambling, that Lu Gosheng was even more reckless. After so many years, and with his reputation, the amount of money he earned had probably already broken into the 9 digits. However, his reckless gambling caused his pockets to always be filled with jingling sounds. Drugs were even worse. Not only was he addicted to it, but he would also drag others into it with him, especially some underage girls. Many of them were harmed by him. Zhuo Lingyue didn't think it was too much of a punishment to chop off his hand for what he had done. The money he earned from this hand not only harmed himself, but also harmed too many materialistic girls. Now that he ended up like this, it could be said that he deserved it. It was retribution for his crimes. Su Yun, if a person doesn't have a sweet mouth in society, it will be very difficult for him to gain a foothold. Zhuo Lingyue said, "Look at Ma Sanner. He keeps calling me Auntie Zhua. I'm so happy to hear him call me Auntie Zhua. Even if I wanted to get angry, I couldn't. What do you think? It's not that I don't have a sweet mouth, You look so young. I really can't call you Auntie Zwa. Su-yin said. If you don't mind, it's easier for me to call you Sister Yu. Zwa Lingyue was startled at first. Then, she couldn't hold back the joy in her heart and couldn't stop giggling. Bai Xiaoya's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Was Su-yin drugging her? What did he say to make her master so happy? She, Bai Xiaoya, had followed her master for so many years, but she had never seen her master laugh so easily. I'm wrong, I'm really wrong. Zwa Lingyue said repeatedly. I didn't expect you to not only have a sweet mouth, but also the sweetest mouth I've ever seen. Call me Sister Yu? Sure, if you really think I'm so young, of course I won't mind. By the way, am I really as young as you said? Su-yin opened his mouth wide, and was stunned for a long time. Probably all the young people who met Zwa Lingyue were in awe of her, and would respectfully call her Auntie Zwa. No one dared to call her an equal. Therefore Zwa Lingyue was overjoyed to hear Su-yun's unruly words. It had been too many years since a young man called her Sister Yu. No matter how powerful Zwa Lingyue was, she couldn't escape the fate of being a woman. There was no woman who didn't care about her age and appearance. No matter how extraordinary a woman was, she couldn't escape from this convention. Ma San'er's admiration for Su-yin was like a torrential river. Why didn't he have the guts to call her Sister Yu? If he had known that calling her Sister Yu could make her so happy, he wouldn't have to be on tenterhooks and flatter her. Sister Yu, can I tell you the truth? Su-yin asked. Zwa Lingyue raised her eyebrows. Of course you have to tell me the truth. If I didn't know Sister Yu's identity, I would even call you Sister Yu. Su-yun's words were more or less to please Zwa Lingyue. Although Zwa Lingyue looked young, she definitely wouldn't give people the impression that she was younger than 25 years old. Zwa Lingyue snorted. Boy, I still like what you said before. It sounds a little fake to me. Su-yin smiled. He didn't know what he should do next. Originally, he planned to take away all these national treasures. Things that originally belonged to the country should be returned. But now the other party was Zwa Lingyue. Even if Su-yin had great ability, it was impossible for him to take these things away from Zwa Lingyue. One must know that even if he summoned Wan Guangxiao, he probably wouldn't be Zwa Lingyue's opponent. This woman was called Empress, and it wasn't a casual title. Among the three sovereigns, Zwa Lingyue was the strongest and most terrifying. That was why she was called Empress. In the legends of the underground world, no one could possibly defeat her. Zwa Lingyue seemed to have seen through Su-yun's thoughts. What? Are you interested in my collection? Boy, I know what you're thinking and what you want to do. But before you do something, you'd better weigh your own weight and do what you can. If you try to be brave, you'll be the one to suffer and get hurt. Su-yin smiled. Zwa Lingyue's words were quite reasonable. Su-yin was just a little frog in a well. After seeing the powerful aura of a sky-profound realm expert, he didn't even consider the matter of snatching. That was absolutely courting death. Sister Yu, this collection must be your many years of hard work. Su-yin said. These national treasures. How did you get them? Is this an interrogation? Su-yin shook his head. No, just treat it as a chat. There are too many people in the world who want to ask me to do something. And those who can find me and have the opportunity to beg me are not simple people. Zwa Lingyue said. If they don't have something good in their hands that can move me, do you think I'll be so easy to talk to? You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.